Hey everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of the 90's horror films. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody, and I've got my co-host here.
Maddie Deering, Madeline Deering, whatever you want to call me.
Maddie is just fine. I like Maddie. And we've got an awesome special guest. Please introduce yourself, ma'am.
Oh, ma'am. Oh, man. I'm Lacy Lou.
Hey, how you doing, Lacy?
I'm good. I'm good. I been a busy day. I worked and did a other podcast on the last 20. We covered 47 meters down, the last 20 minutes of that movie. So
Which one is that? Is that the first or second one?
that's the Mandy Moore one. And
Okay.
like my co-host is like way younger than me. So like we were talking about Mandy Moore. And I was like, yeah, she's a pretty good singer. And she was like, I didn't know Mandy Moore sang. I'm like, what do you fucking mean? And,
Um,
and so like I was like, no, I guarantee you've heard some of her music before. Like you had to have. So like I start playing Candy,
Candy's the first one that popped in my mind.
right? And I start playing, and she's like, yeah, no fucking clue. And I'm like, I feel really old.
Oh,
yeah, I've been there many times.
I know. Yeah, no, I remember because I'm 2 years older than Mandy Moore. So like when she was 16 or whatever, I was just graduating high school, and I was like I felt a little weird, even though I'm now legal age. Should I be looking at this like 2 years younger? Like should I be, like whatever. But it was cute. I used to love her music and stuff actually. Um Kind of sad
Yeah.
that she really doesn't do music as much anymore.
Yeah. I'm divorced now, but actually one of her songs played at my wedding. So it was one of my wedding songs.
Which one?
A Walk to Remember. It's gonna be love.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's the movie I remember her from, especially A Walk to Remember and music and everything like that. My
Oh,
sister.
it's so good.
It's been a long
It's
time.
it's way too sad though. Like I don't know if I could really watch it more
Very
than once.
sad.
You know? It's like I don't know. And plus now every time I watch it, I think of Entourage because apparently that's where Vince met Mandy Moore is on the set of, Walk to Remember. And so every time I think of like a Walk to Remember, I think, I wonder if Adrian Grenier was really on that set. You know? I mean, you never know. They all know each other. That's how they get each other on the shows and stuff. But this movie that we're going to be talking about does not have Mandy Moore, but I
Doesn't?
don't know.
Maybe I
She
watched.
wouldn't have been. She wouldn't. I don't think she was making music then.
I'm just kidding.
Even then, it was Katie Holmes instead, who kind of, to me, has kind of fallen off the after her divorce with Tom. She kind of fallen off the face of the planet. I don't really see her much.
She does a lot of like independent projects. She did there's actually pretty good. I think it's what is it, Mrs. Meadows? Miss Meadows.
Yeah, it's on Tubi.
Yeah, I watched that not too long ago, but she actually had a brief cameo in like the most ridiculous movie ever, Ocean's 8.
Oh,
Um
nice.
yeah,
She
she's randomly in that fucking movie. Like she's just sitting at a table and I'm like, holy fuck, there's Katie Holmes.
I don't remember that. I must have.
She has no lines in that movie. She's just sitting at a table.
I like it's like I was kind of drunk when I was watching it, so I don't specifically remember
Fair.
because I've seen it the once, but I just remember she's sitting at a table. She might have a line or two, but I think they referenced her. They're like, Katie Holmes is here, and like she like waved or something.
Oh, cameo like as herself. Like she was
Yeah,
in
she was
character.
playing herself. Yeah.
I kind of I get kind of annoyed by that kind of stuff of like people like the only movie I think really did that well was like Last Action Hero, where they had like everybody like all these actors in the premiere. But that was like all set up that way. I feel there's better when I feel like they're like, oh, we got Katie Holmes for a day. Let's, you know, put her as a cameo in a movie. It just feels weird to me. It's like, okay, all right, well,
Like almost breaking like the fourth wall.
right. And that's okay sometimes, especially if you're Deadpool, but or something like that. But like, I don't know, Ocean's 8, did that really need a cameo by Katie Holmes? Because they already had like 8 women, that were pretty big people at that time. But anyway, I never watched it. I've only watched the first Ocean's 11 years ago, like the remake, not the Frank Sinatra one. I need to.
Jim's first cameo like that was Zoolander too. Whenever Zoolander, Ben Stiller's looking around, like all these different celebrities popping up. I think I only saw one theater. First Zoolander, one of the greatest movies of all time. Second one,
The first Zoolander, great. I have not seen the second one, and
no, there's a scene and it's got all these celebrity cameos, and it's so annoying and pointless to go through.
yeah, it becomes like product placement, when you kind of when you see that stuff. Like, if you, the only person who's good at making fun of product placement, who also has product placement, is Mike Myers, who does like the what is it? Where he'll be like, I'd be a sellout if I drank this soda. And he drinks, like, right? And that stuff like that. Like those are better cameos. But let's we keep we keep talking about other stuff that's not disturbing behavior.
I'm 19... good at that. Sorry.
No, we're all good at that, I think. So
we always go off the rails.
Yeah. It's usually just me and Maddie going off the rails together about other things, and then it just goes down a rabbit hole. But yeah, so disturbing behavior. Let's go around the room and talk about like when we first watched this. So Lacy, since you're the special guest here, tell us, when did you first watch Disturbing Behavior?
Well, I was a huge Dawson's Creek fan. So like I watched that from night one. Never missed an episode, watched it all the way to the finale, like every Wednesday night, I believe it was on. Like I remember when the finale aired and I rushed home from like I dipped out of play practice. So I was a freshman in high school, so I would not miss the finale, and I like taped it and rewatched it and cried a bunch of times. But so I was a big fan. Like I'm a big fan of Kevin Williamson, period, and Scream is one of my favorite movies of all time. So obviously he did Dawson's Creek, and you fall in love with these characters, and then you start to follow all of them. That it's such a 90s period of time. When I think of the 90s, I think of Dawson's Creek, and when I think of Dawson's Creek, I think of Disturbing Behavior, so like, and Teaching Mrs. Tingle, and which should have been
Urban Legend,
yes,
with Joshua Jackson, listening to the song for what is it?
I Don't Want to Wait.
Where he just like freaks out. It's like, turn that off.
See, that's a good self-referential moment.
Right.
He also references himself in one of the episodes in Dawson's Creek when it was the detention episode, and he goes, oh, those Mighty Duck movies, those were good movies. And yeah, so I don't know, he's cheeky. I like it.
Yeah, he does that. James Vanderbeek makes fun of himself, did it in Jane Silent Bob. I have not seen Katie Holmes make fun of herself yet. So unless she did that in like a Ocean's 8. I don't know.
No, I know. I don't think she was referencing Dawson's Creek and Ocean's 8. But so that's when, and just like Buffy, like, and then like all these movies like hit at the same time. Like I Know What You Did Last Summer, the Screams, Urban Legends, as you said, Cruel Intentions. So like I just kind of followed, like I was a CW kid, or WB kid at the time it was. So like I followed all of these actors, so I would literally just watch everything that they were in. So as soon as they came out, like I had to be there. So that's how I first discovered. I was like, oh, Katie Holmes, I'm in.
Yeah. I have a Katie Holmes story, and I'll tell you guys a little bit later. Maddie, how about you? When was the first time you watched Disturbing Behavior?
Well, first off, I do love Dawson's Creek, but I only watched it time maybe a couple of years ago. But I remember seeing this on cable, and honestly, rewatching it now, I'm sure I've seen it because I remembered bits and pieces, but not that well. I'd only seen it once. So I mean, I don't really have a good story. I probably caught it on Sci-Fi Channel or something. Whatever, when I was younger. I don't really remember, but I remembered bits and pieces of the movie. I just wasn't that familiar with it. So it was fun to revisit and kind of think, oh, yeah. remember certain things, movies you forgot you watched.
I love how you say it's like that you might have caught it on the Sci-Fi Channel, because like a lot of people debate whether it's horror or not.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I hate when people. I made a whole rant about this one. Like, I hate when people debate it's horror, it's sci-fi, it's like, who cares? Whatever.
They're all intertwined. Like,
Yeah,
kids,
exactly.
some bitch gets her neck
There's
snapped,
something
kids fucking die. It's horror.
yeah, I could see like horror, sci-fi, whatever. Just, whatever.
Yeah,
Either
I mean,
way, I'm pretty sure I saw it on Sci-Fi Channel one of those back in the day, and probably had it recorded on VHS.
and I'm not gonna lie, the scene with the people coming up and like all going like almost zombie like, with the inside the mental hospital. That scene there is more horror than a lot of horror movies I see these days.
That
So
scene, I think I remembered. That really stuck out to me.
it
Like
was
I said,
also, I think a lot of it's also in the trailers, so you could have saw the trailers as well and could remember a lot.
I'm almost sure I had seen it before when I was
Yeah.
younger. What, like 98? If I looked it up.
Yeah, it was in 98 that it came out.
Yeah, so. Or was it?
I remember having I want to say it was a VHS of it. Like I copied it from VHS to VHS,
Yeah, yeah.
you're
I
not
did
really allowed to do technically, but I did it. Or I may no, I don't think I put it on beta because I think it was back at the time where I started. And I know I did have it, and I still do have it on DVD. Thing is, I watched my new MVD Blu-ray of it, and it looks great, but like I don't see much difference. And the one thing I was really disappointed by was that MVD does not have the music video for Got You Where I Want You, which I believe that the DVD did. So I'm like, well, now I need to make sure I have the DVD because I have all the extra, because everything else was transferred over except for that music video, which was kind of a bummer. But yeah, I think I watched it when it first came out because just like Lacey, and I think you said Maddie that you watched Dawson's Creek a little bit, or
I did, yeah. But
yeah,
only recently. I only got
only recently. Well, it's fine.
maybe like 3 years ago or something I watched.
Well, anytime you can get into the creek, that's fine.
Were you a Pacey and Dawson, or I'm sorry, a Pacey and Joey fan, or a Pacey and
Or
or
Dawson and Joey fan? Dawson and Joey or
I was
Pacey?
a Pacey and Joey fan because Joey and Dawson were not meant to be together and they were fucking annoying, excuse my language.
Okay.
Pacey
Okay,
and
we're gonna get into this right now because I was a Dawson and Joey
what?
fan. And
No.
yeah, and here, a lot of it was because
way.
I was a huge, like, I related a lot to Dawson as far as like wanting to be a filmmaker, and
Yeah,
like
of
that's what
course.
got me into the show was his love for film and Kevin Williamson, who obviously I was a big Scream fan too. But yeah, I got into it like right after Scream, and I realized, oh shoot, the writer of Scream wrote Dawson's Creek. I gotta check this show out. And then fell in love with like Dawson being a Spielberg fan and all these things. And I was like, and then so I kind of automatically connected myself to Dawson. And then I like looking back at it now, I'm like, he was such a whiny little bitch. But
Yeah,
um
but
and so maybe I shouldn't have, or maybe I was a whiny little bitch back then too. I don't know. But all I know is that I connected myself to it. So growing up, I was so pissed when like they broke up and then Jack stole her away and then Jack was gay and then Pacey came in, J Dawson, Pacey, Dawson, Peace, whatever. And then eventually at the end, Pacey won, because that's what everybody wanted anyway.
Well, not only that, but I feel like if you like really give it like a rewatch, I feel like Dawson's true love was actually film, and he got his true love at the end. That's like what I took from it. And he was always putting that ahead of like what, like that was his emotional need, and he put that first and foremost above everybody else, throughout the entire run of the series. So like when people say that, like, and Joey was always like in support of that, but like they just couldn't make it work as a couple because they were just two different people going different ways,
Right.
But
And
that's
on
how
top,
I perceived it. But
and I no, I agree with you on that. And I think and I like your analogy on the fact that it was his love was film, because I truly do believe that that's true, that he was more focusing on his career than on his relationships, where Casey also was sort of doing that. He got into cooking, he kind of did a lot of that, but he was also trying to make his romantic relationships work. I think he at one point did he date Jen for a little bit too? Or something, or
that was before Pacey and Joey. Like it's all season 3 is so epic. Like
oh, that's right. That was season 3. That was the last season I rewatched recently. So, and then I stopped watching it after a bit because there's so much to watch. I
yeah.
It's hard to focus.
Season and how many seasons. But can I complain about? I know we're going off topic, but that episode that's just basically a commercial for No Doubt concert. I hate that fucking episode.
Oh, season 6 is bad aside from the finale. I like the finale.
Oh my god, that episode still annoys me.
And the Dr. Drew one.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
Remember the Dr. Drew. Maybe I blocked it out of my mind. But
one of the best seasons, or one of the best episodes, does come from season 6, and it's when they get trapped in the Kmart.
I do remember that episode.
It's
a really good episode.
I need to go back to rewatch and like go back to season 6 because I think in real life I stopped watching after season 4, and I've realized this about myself is that I've stopped watching a lot of TV shows after they go into college.
right.
Except for the college years and Saved by the Bell. I did watch that, but there's what?
That one only lasted a season.
Yeah, it was only one season, wasn't it? Almost felt like it was 2, but it was one. It was one big season. It almost felt like another, season of regular Saved by the Bell, just with new castmates. But yeah, other than that, like Boy Meets World, when they went into college, I zoned out of it. Because I had grown up with them, so I was going into college, and I was like, I don't care about this. Or I didn't go to college, but I was going into that like age, and I had like outgrown my TGIF years. Now looking back, I rewatched them now in nostalgia, but and I watched those episodes and I'm like, thank God I didn't watch this because it's terrible. Like this was not as funny. Like everything is like is awful in the college years. And so I think that's sort of what happened with Dawson's Creek too. I think I just it became like year 2000 and I just stopped watching a lot of these shows, or whatever. And so I stopped watching it. So I saw some of it and I do remember seeing the ending because I wanted to know how it was going to end, even though I hadn't caught up to that part yet, so it's a little confusing, but
ending always felt kind of weird to me, but
yeah. So to go back to disturbing behavior,
let's go off the rails. Oh, I apologize.
No, it's fine. So the what is it? My Katie Holmes thing it's funny. I talked to 2 separate groups of people. And when I used to work at I won't say the name of it because I don't work there anymore. But I worked at an amusement park and I did one of those like guess your age or weight games, where I had to guess the people's age or weight. And a lot of time there was a lot of downtime of like nobody coming up, so I just chat with anybody who would walk up to my game, even if they didn't want to play. And 2 different groups. One was from North Carolina, and they said they were from Wilmington. And I said, "Oh, that's a set of Dawson's Creek. How cool! Like, is there anything?" And they were like, "Oh yeah, we were extras on Dawson's Creek." And I was like, "Oh, that's so cool. How are the cast?" And they said, Joshua Jackson is amazing. He's really like really down to earth and nice and jokes with everybody. James Vanderbeek runs up and hangs out with like all the extras, watches a video, like watches football games with them while he has his downtime. And Katie Holmes goes straight to her trailer and doesn't talk to anybody. And I was like, oh, well, that's kind of a bummer to hear. Then I talked to another group who were from Toledo, Ohio, where, Katie Holmes, and I said, oh, did you know Katie? Thinking that maybe Toledo, Ohio was a big, they went to school with her. And they said she was sort of like the drama girl, like, doing drama classes, theater classes. And that's all she hung out with. She did not, if you were not in drama, she didn't want anything to do with you. And I was like, oh, I guess kind of makes sense for who she became. But I was like, oh, and I got to learn more about her from different people who, saw different sides of her. And it seemed like she's hasn't really changed much, in that, and probably just keeps to herself. What do you guys would you have guys wanted to meet her if you could?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I grew up watching her, God, she like was the envy of so many people when she married Tom Cruise, um, whose daughter looks exactly like both of them. I like if you could like say somebody's mini me, like they literally, if you look at Surrey, it literally looks like Tom Cruise, and then you look at her again, it literally looks like Katie Holmes. I don't know how that's fucking possible because Katie Holmes and Tom Cruise don't even look alike, but they're child. It's crazy. Have you seen her? Like she's like almost an adult now, isn't she?
Let me see what she looks like. Yeah, that's weird, to think.
Yeah, like I just remember her like being a little girl and like they wouldn't show her face for like the longest time, and I guess Tom Cruise hasn't seen her in years or something supposedly. So,
Oh, did she take him away?
well, wouldn't
Oh,
you?
so she said, oh yeah, I would, but I don't know if she like I always thought she couldn't, I thought that they would, stop that. But we're not gonna say what that is because I don't want any trouble at Indie Film Cafe network. Because yeah. Um but no, she's 17 years old. That's crazy. So so crazy to think like she's young but she's old now,
She's the
Like
same age of Katie Holmes and Dawson's Creek.
right, there you go.
Yeah.
I did she
I hope
she didn't
really
get into
funny.
acting, did she?
No, I guess she's a really good singer though. Katie posted something like on her Instagram or Twitter or something, and she was singing, and she's a good little singer. So
I wonder if she still sees her dad because I know they cut ties, and
I,
stuff. So,
from what I've read in like the People magazine and Us Weekly, like they haven't, she hasn't seen him in a couple years, and that was pretty recently that I read that. So
wow.
he's always busy like filming and shit, and like yeah, but he hangs out with his kids that he has with Nicole Kidman. So
I mean, yeah, it's weird because she did cut ties with that group. So I don't know.
he probably
Maybe at
just
some
wanted
point
to be influenced.
that's true. I mean, it's got to be tough, kind of having all of that happen to you. It's a sad thing. And I think another reason we were talking earlier about Katie Holmes hasn't really done too much lately or whatever. And I think a lot of that has to do with her leaving that stuff and, probably not wanting to associate because that church is a big part of Hollywood, you know? So
Right.
it's probably hard to work with people who don't like you, or whatever, because you decided to leave, you know?
It's kind of
Um,
funny that she was a part of a movie like this because this is kind of cult-like.
right? She should have known better. Yeah. Like she did, I wonder when he asked her out, did she go razor?
Like, do you have rats?
Oh Lord. By the way, there is the guy, the janitor
William
guy, William Sadler. He's actually a part of the Indie Film Cafe group, and he commented. I did not know this, by the way. And he commented on one of my posts. I forgot what it was about, but he commented on it, and I was like, you know, because I mean, I'm friends with him, but on Facebook, but I think I invited him to the group, not thinking he would actually accept, and I don't remember him accepting. So one
That's
day he's just commented on a thing in my group, and I was like, oh God, he's part of my group. Like,
No,
um,
Bill Sadler is a fucking gem. He was also in Demon Knight, and he was also part of the WB family with Roswell.
mhm.
He's like the heart and soul of that fucking show.
I absolutely adore him. And when he accepted my friend request, I was just like, it's like, gives me like
You should try
chills.
to get him on the show.
I've This is the first time, so I did reach out to him today and just said that we're reviewing disturbing behavior. He probably won't even respond, you know. But if he
No.
does, I'll be happy. So I'm, you know, it's one of
Positive,
those, what?
positive thinking.
Okay, I'll try. I'll try. It's not that I'm negative thinking. I'm just like thinking, I know sort of how people are these days, with that stuff. But if yes, I would love to have him come on the show, one of the shows at some point and just say hello, you know. Um,
Yeah, that'd be dope.
yeah, I'd love to interview because he's done what Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. He's done,
Favorite role.
um, yeah, he's Death. He was not. I'm not like this isn't his fault, but I was not a fan of the newest one. And
I liked him.
you did,
Face the Music.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Uh,
Like had so
I
much
saw the
heart
poster.
in it.
I need to rewatch it. I think I wasn't in the right headspace when I watched it, so maybe that gave me the negative things with it. But I don't know. There's something. Maybe I didn't like the kids, but I didn't like something that just drove me nuts through the whole thing and kind of ruined my the vibe of it. So maybe I'll watch it again. A lot
Yeah,
of people do love it, so
yeah. I love anything Bill and Ted, but anyway.
what?
I said I love anything Bill and Ted. I love those movies. I think Bill and Ted is the greatest time travel movie of all time. So sorry, Back to the Future. But anyway, not to get all off the rails again. That's
Well, yeah, no, it's true. The first two I loved absolutely, and then I think another thing is it's been so long since I've seen Bill and Ted,
yeah.
before, like I'm not somebody who watches it like every year or anything, but so I haven't seen it in a while, and so maybe also watching the first two again might help
Yeah.
with watching the third one. I'm doing like a marathon would be kind of fun. But yeah, so yeah, this movie here was more brainwashing kind of thing. And also, did you notice like the stuff that they used to brainwash everyone kind of reminded me a lot of like a Clockwork Orange. I never thought
Oh
about
yeah.
that,
Uh,
you know. Which is another one of my favorite brainwashing movies, or whatever.
Oh, that
Uh,
movie's iconic as fuck.
yeah. Uh, well, I mean, it's directed by one of the most iconic as fuck directors,
He goes as fuck.
I like
iconic
this
as
episode has the most fucks of any episode we've had.
I'm sorry. You're gonna like I'm a
Oh,
potty.
don't apologize. I say fuck all the time.
No, I once guested on a podcast and they didn't tell me that I couldn't. So like now, like I ask all the time, like, and somebody was like, yeah, I usually like to listen to your show, but I didn't like to listen to that episode because there's so many F-bombs dropped. And I was like, well, fuck. Like they never asked me to guest again. And like I am who I am. Like I can't help it, like did you not listen to my shows? Like,
Do they not watch Quentin Tarantino movies?
I guess not. Well, and it's a horror podcast. So, like, I mean, like, are you really going to be picky and choosy about how people talk?
Yeah, that I don't get.
Like,
No.
what? Like,
I say if the movie's like R-rated, which I think this was PG-13.
No, this was R. I looked it up. So I
well,
don't
it
know.
had to be our. We had a little bit of titty.
Yeah, you
Oh, we
had
did
titties.
have a little bit of
So
titty.
did Titanic, and that was PG-13, but still. And
Oh.
Critters.
Well, this one also had like necks being snapped, like sexually repressed angst teenagers, like
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know why I even looked up the rating, but it was R. I think it was just on IMDb.
Well, when I was telling my boyfriend earlier, I was like, this almost feels like a made for TV movie, except you get titty and like Nick's. I mean, it feels like I don't know. Have you guys ever seen the made for TV movie? It was written by Lois Duncan, who also wrote I Know What You Did Last Summer. Um,
Killing Mr.
but
Griffin.
yes, Killing Mr. Griffin. It has like that like aesthetic to it as you're watching it a little bit. It feels made for TV, but like obviously a little higher budgeted.
Yeah.
With Saved by the Bell's Mario Lopez in that movie.
Yes, and Power Rangers, the Pink Ranger.
Oh yeah, Amy Jo Johnson.
Yes.
Not to be confused with Amy Johnson, who's another actress. Think she might be related to Dakota Johnson. I'm not sure, but she was the chick from I think she was in like Growing Pains or something. I'm correct.
Oh, Ashley Johnson.
Hey,
Yeah.
no, well, there's an Amy Johnson, so it might be.
Ashley Johnson was Growing Pains, and she also was on a show on TJF, which you mentioned earlier. But it was called Phenom.
Oh, that's right, the tennis
does,
one.
yeah, and she does like a bunch of voices
Yeah.
on Recess. Like she does a lot of voice acting.
Hmm.
What was that, Maddie?
What show on TGIF was she on?
It was called Phenom.
Why don't I not remember that? I watched TGIF all the time.
I think it was only like one season, kind of like that Angel show.
Or the Thorkelsons, that only
Meet
had
the
one.
Torkelsons. That
I
was a
remember
Disney.
like Aliens in the Family and stuff, which was like one season.
Yeah, no, Phenom. It was like, and I just remember because remember how they'd always do like cutaways to commercials, like with the cast of
Yeah.
and Ashley, it would be her voice, and she'd be like, Phenom, we'll be back in a moment. Like,
I have to look up this phenomenon.
yes, do it. It's actually like it's
You are right. Wow, I was thinking, and because I just saw Ashley Johnson and Lionheart, and for some reason I thought it said Amy Johnson. I was like, oh, not Amy Jo Johnson, but okay, well, so is it? Yeah, Ashley Johnson from Lionheart, Growing Pains, and Phenom.
nobody knows about apparently except for you and
I
I.
always thought it was Phenom, or something.
I'm gonna know about it after today because I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, it was like about a mom and her tennis instructor and her two kids, I think.
It was the mom from I think Who's the Boss?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I remember that show. I don't remember it being funny.
Well, there's probably a reason it lasted one season.
Yeah, I remember trying to watch it going, nah, I don't nah. I grew up on Full House and Step by Step and
Family Matters.
and Boy Meets World. And so those are my four like TGIF shows. Everything else kind of if Growing Pains, but like Growing Pains was sort of didn't even feel TGIF-y,
I didn't even think it was TGIF.
It was the original TGIF lineup. So it was
Wonder Years.
Because Family Matters actually was a spinoff from Growing Pains. Not Growing Pains. Not Growing Pains. Fuck.
Full House. Urkel was on
Perfect Strangers.
Really?
Yeah, Perfect Strangers. Because in Perfect Strangers, Harriet was the person who came up. So I wasn't not thinking Growing Pains. I don't think Growing Pains was on TGIF, but Perfect
I remember Strangers.
Yeah, it was with Balky.
Balky and Larry.
Yeah, Balky, who's my favorite movie of his ever is freaking True Romance.
As long as you weren't going to say the Stephen King one was in, I can never pronounce it. The Langoliers.
The Langoliers.
Langoliers. But now if I rewatch it, it's good up until those CGI monsters show.
I still don't understand it. Like, I just remember him like freaking out.
No one understands it. I mean,
Well, that's a 95 movie. We could do it for 90's horror at
cool.
some point.
And it's a mini series, so that would be like a good special episode.
That's a big episode. Um, we wouldn't be able to go off board on that because like we wouldn't be able to cover anything. Um, so this was the first movie that had like Nick Stahl, that I ever like recognized him or like whatever knew.
I didn't even realize that was who did he play?
Nick Stahl?
Yeah.
He played.
Gavin.
Oh yeah, never mind. I'm stupid.
He's in the picture. That's
Yeah.
Sorry guys, I'm thinking of someone else.
He's right behind me.
I forget people's names. I should have done more research. I apologize.
No, it's fine. Nick Stahl, and so he's been in a bunch of good stuff. Like I remember in that movie Bully.
Oh my God, Bully is so good.
I know it's because okay, I grew up on Kids. Yeah, like when I was a kid when I rented Kids, and I only got to rent it because me and my friend went to rent it at our video store, and the guy was like, this is unrated. Am I allowed to rent this to you? And we're like, sure. And they're like, okay. He rented it to us, and it's like basically it's NC-17, you know. So he shouldn't have rented it to like 13-year-old boys who were, still in middle school. But we went and me and my friend went and we watched it. And speaking of Amy Jo Johnson and the Power Rangers, we rented that and the Power Rangers movie at the same time, and then sort of had the kids playing at one point. We're watching kids, we're enjoying it. Then his mom came home and we switched the tapes so that it would look like we're watching Power Rangers and not this terrible movie with these kids like doing terrible things.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was my my story with that. But yeah, so Nick Stahl is wonderful. Bully was great. Have you seen that, Maddie?
I haven't seen Bully. I should.
Get on that. It's like one of the most fucked up movies ever.
Are you writing these down? Like you should
I'm
be.
not.
You should have a list by now.
It has Macaulay Culkin's ex-wife in it. She was also in Penny Dreadful.
Rachel Miner.
Yes, her. Yes.
She was also in Supernatural. She got to play Meg for a while, but unfortunately, she's had some really bad health issues lately and stuff. So sad.
It also has another Dawson's Creeker in it, Michael Pitt. He played Henry in season 3.
Oh yeah. He was one of my least favorite characters in Dawson's Creek. I'm not gonna lie.
I can't remember which one Henry was.
He was the one that Jen dated, and then he left for football camp, and she goes, "Football camp?" But yeah, he left at the end of season 3. He was the one who donated his blood to buy her that ugly ass ring and passed out.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, he was younger. He was a freshman, and I think she was a junior at the time. And yeah, Michael Pitt. He was also in Murder by Numbers, who is also, I believe, he's nephew. He's the nephew of Brad Pitt, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, you know what? I've heard his like last name, and I never once put Brad Pitt and him together.
Yeah,
I never thought about it because I was like, and now that I say it, he's blonde and he does. I mean, he's not that good looking, but he's.
He was also in Funny Games too. The remake of Funny Games.
I'll have to check that out. I really liked him in Bully. I really did like him in Bully.
Sorry, I have too many connective tissues when we talk the 90s.
Well, no, but there is a lot of there's a lot of cross pollination or whatever when it comes to these movies. There's a lot of movies that everybody kind of, one person will work with stuff and then they'll work with some other people. So it's, interesting to hear that, Yeah. But yeah, I was in Disturbing Behavior. There's Nick Stahl, Katie Holmes, and my least favorite character in this whole movie is the main character, James Marsden's character. He was kind of boring.
Now, wasn't Josh Hartnett originally supposed to play him, or like he was up for it or something?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised either.
This would be about the time. I think if that were the case, he probably
This
didn't do it because of the
reminded me of
faculty was shooting at the same time.
gonna
That
say
or
this reminded me
H2O.
of the faculty as it is.
What?
So, this reminded me a bit of the faculty.
Yes. Yeah, right.
It's very much like the faculty.
Yeah.
But the faculty is superior.
The faculty is but it was written by Kevin Williamson. Come on now,
Faculty
and
is-
directed by, like the director of this, David Nutter, did a lot of great X
Well,
Files
Robert
stuff.
Rodriguez directed the faculty, but
Yes.
Yeah, and David Nutter, who did this movie, Disturbing Behavior, did a lot of great stuff with X Files and TV. Like
Yeah.
in the 90's and 2000s, if you looked at pilots, there were almost every pilot was directed by David Nutter. You
and that
know,
would make sense to why I said it felt like a TV movie at
Yeah.
times.
yeah, it does have that feel. I think it feels like it was an X Files idea. Like the movie Final Destination, I've interviewed the writer of that, creator of that, Jeffrey Reddick, and he talks about how like that was originally a spec script for X Files, the original like plot for Final Destination. Then it got changed, and it's so funny because X Files people came on board, and then nothing to do with X Files after that. Like it was, became its own series. And then it's not even the same story as what he actually originally wrote, which what just was about the flight, and stuff and whatnot. There's a lot of things that got changed. But I freaking man, I love Final Destination as well.
Right.
Another one of those like early 2000 like flicks. I'm trying to find if it says that what's his name? Uh uh what's the guy's name? Josh Hartnett was supposed to be up for it. Does not
And
say.
the guy we got, the main character guy, I remember him from 27 Dresses.
James Marsden. Well, he's also
Something was like, guy looks so familiar, and I looked him up and I was like, yep, that's where I remember him. Great movie.
Yeah, but he was Cyclops and as Lacy said, and then X-Men,
And he actually, if you haven't,
I watched 27 Dresses.
Were you gonna say, Lacy?
I said if you haven't watched it, he was just recently on this reality show. But only one person, like it's called Jury Duty, and it's on Amazon Prime.
I've heard good about that.
Oh my god, it's fucking hilarious, but also has like heart too. And it's about this guy who goes in for jury duty, and he's the only one that doesn't know that it's all fake.
Yeah.
And James Marsden's on there, and he's fantastic. It's great. Watch it. It's hilarious. I think you'll love it.
I've heard a lot of good things. It's been on my list.
Yes.
Along with everything else.
This movie also had, speaking of 90's, had freaking Ethan Embry in it.
Right.
And what?
Yeah, is it right?
Right? Like, so it was so strange that he's in it for like about 5 minutes or whatever in the flashback scenes.
It's creepy though.
It is creepy, yeah, and it works. Sort of.
I'm not as much a 90's, even though I'm a co-host. I don't know who we're talking about.
Ethan
Yeah,
Embry,
you know 90's horror, but you don't know.
Yeah, I don't know a lot.
Can't hardly wait. He played Rusty Griswold in Vegas Vacation.
Okay.
Vacancy, The Devil's Candy.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I definitely remember Vegas.
Empire
Alabama.
Records.
Empire Records, okay.
Yeah, he was Mark with a C in Empire Records, probably one of my favorite movies of all time. So
I only watched it 5 years ago too.
interestingly enough, when I was living in LA, I was living over by in San Gabriel, and I was like right down the road from where they shot Can't Hardly Wait's was it the school, graduation scene and stuff. I was like, because I looked at the thing, I was like, the school, and I was like, that name sounds familiar, that high school name or whatever. And then I looked it up when when I got home, I was watching Can't Hardly Wait, and I'm like, okay, that looks familiar. And then I looked it up, and I was like, oh crap, we were just there. Drove right by the high school. Kind of cool, you know.
Yeah.
That's the only part about living in LA I liked was seeing all the sights of all the movies
Oh, really?
I adored. Yeah, really, everything else is like,
Yeah.
that's if I move back, that would be the only reason I move back is to go visit all the sites all the time.
Yeah.
You know who I think is the most surprising in this cast, though, is we have a young Catherine Isabel.
And I was gonna talk about that because Ginger Snaps is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, I've only seen it once.
So good. I've seen it many times.
You like the sequels?
The sequel, part two's pretty good. The prequel, I'm not a huge fan, but it's okay.
Yeah, I had to do them for 31 Days of Indie Horror. I had to watch Ginger Snaps 1 year, and then 2, and then 3. And 1 was fantastic, like just phenomenal. 2 was I'd say 2 was okay. It was it was okay. 3, good God, I hated. Like
I hate it, but I don't like it too much.
I hate it.
Many years since I've seen it.
I think I hate it because I had Anna Zayden, a friend of mine, on to do all 3, and I think she loves all 3, like I mean, but 1 is everybody's favorite. Like that's
yeah. 1 is, and again, one of my favorite werewolf movies.
Yeah. Lacy, did you watch them, all 3 of them?
No.
No? You should.
No.
Or at least
So have you seen the first one, right?
I was kind of paying attention to it.
you didn't like it?
I like, I think it's one of those things like you have to be in the mood for it.
Oh, I understand that.
And when I watched it, like, kind of like, I don't know, like I just wasn't like in the moment. I don't think I was in the mood for like I just watched Excision like right before that. And then I threw that on and they're kind of like, transform, like it's all about like womanhood kind of and like going through like hormonal things. And I think it was a little much for me at the time. And so
It's a heavy movie. Very good, but
yeah, no, like I think I just wasn't in the right headspace. And no, I plan on giving it another go because I do like Catherine Isabel. Like she's like one of my favorite parts of like I love American Mary and I love her in Freddy versus Jason,
I loved her in Freddy versus Jason. I have not seen American Mary. A friend of mine let me borrow it once, and I still have it. It was like years ago, and he let me borrow it. Just never gave it back. Not that I don't even know. I know I still have it. It's at my studio.
She's also really good in See No Evil too, which I think is better than the original.
It is. I agree.
Yeah, like it's more fun. You have like Danielle Harris and Catherine Isabel in it.
It takes place in like a hospital or not hospital, like
a morgue.
Yeah, a morgue type setting. I remember really liking the setting, but I don't remember much else about it.
Yeah, it has a good little twist on the ending.
Fairly decent.
I mean, it's nice that like Catherine became like a horror person, like Ginger Snaps really kind of helped set that, and the other girl, Emily Perkins from Ginger Snaps, she was in like Supernatural, and both are Canadian actresses, and they're it's interesting because like what is it? American Mary was done by the Soska twins, who are Canadian, and they did American Mary, and she kind of helped.
Did See No Evil too.
Okay, so that makes sense with Danielle Harris, because I think later they did another project with Danielle Harris as well. So but Danielle wasn't in American Mary too, was she?
No, I don't think so.
But yeah, and then I know they did the what is it, the Rabid, the remake of the David Cronenberg movie.
Yep.
I actually interviewed them back in the day, and I I think we just fell out of contact with each other. I haven't talked to them forever. But when I interviewed them, their only claim to fame at that time was Dead Hookers in a Trunk.
Oh,
Which if you haven't seen that movie, that's so great. It's like a female Tarantino movie, which I think is amazing. So they were great. They had a fun time. So I love seeing them blow up and get bigger because to me, honestly, and this goes with like Terrifier 2 and everything, but the more indie people who blow up really helps the indie scene, out. Um, I hope they keep continuing to do well, for themselves. Um, but go back to just your behavior. So yeah, so Catherine Isabel is in it. So was Steve Railsback, you
Who is
know. Steve Railsback, he was the
that guy?
cop, the sheriff, and he was most famous. I think he was in a um what he was in a serial killer and
name sounds so familiar. So I'm sure I must have seen him.
yeah, he was a serial killer. God, I can't even remember people. Anybody who's like listening to this and probably knows that, just be like yelling at the Helter Skelter. He was in Helter Skelter as Charles Manson. That's what he was sort of most famous for. And then later he kind of hit a hard time and he had to do I think after this movie and a couple other ones, he ended up having to do the Asylum movies and stuff.
That's probably where I know him from. What's more,
Yeah.
I think
He was in the Asylum movies. He was in, oh my God, they just keep switching names on these movies. King of the Lost World, he was in that. That was Asylum. That was a King Kong ripoff. But for
yeah.
some reason on IMDb, it's called Syndrome of the Trespasser Island.
I haven't known a single movie you said in the past 2 minutes.
See, this is where we differ because we're like legit on the 90's stuff, but any of the like 2000s indie horror stuff. He was in The Devil's Rejects, so I'm sure you know
Okay.
that.
Yeah,
You're back on.
we're
Um,
back on. Yep.
he was in an episode of Supernatural. Um,
Well, I have seen Helter Skelter, and I think that was the best, in my opinion, adaptation of Charles Manson.
I think that yeah, I'm kind of getting annoyed by how many of those are out there because I'm like, how many times can you
Yeah.
basically tell the same story? Like it's not nothing can change. It's all, sort of based on truth. So that's why I like, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where they change things, up
Right.
or whatever.
Yeah, that
Like, I think the worst case of that had to be the one with was it Hillary Duff? Was it Hillary Duff?
oh yeah. I never saw it, but I heard horrible things.
And it
Uh-huh.
was like
Hey,
she was having like dream premonitions or some shit, and it was
Yeah, it
just
was the Sharon Tate story, right? Or whatever.
haunting of Sharon
wolves
Tate.
at the door. Was that what it was called?
I,
Wasn't
I
it
think it
called?
was called The Haunting of Sharon Tate.
Maybe. Well, okay. So there's also one wolves at the door, and that one was bad too.
Wolves at the Door.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh yeah, that one has Katie Cassidy in it.
Okay. All right. But Hillary
Um,
Duff did do one. I'm just probably confusing the two.
Yeah.
yeah, so it says four friends are murdered in their own house for no reason by four members of the Manson family. Okay. See, once again, what I mean, unless you just change history, like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it's the same story, like they can't really do much else. And so there's all these indie people who tried because it's basically public domain and like
They can, yeah.
you can do that story. It just gets to be sort of boring, like
Tasteless.
it's tasteless too. The guy who made The Haunting of Sharon Tate, he also was the writer of like Halloween 666,
Daniel Farran's.
Yeah, and he does like a
Also,
lot of those
yeah,
kind of
he
things.
just did he did the Eileen I can't think of the name.
Yeah, Eileen
That
W.
and then
Um,
he did what the fuck was the Chad Michael Murray was in it.
Chad Michael Murray was in one of his movies.
Yeah, it was he played Ted Bundy.
Oh, wow.
It was bad. Like and like you could tell it was like filmed during COVID because like he's literally wearing a COVID mask in the fucking movie. I shit you not. Like that fucking happens. like, like why? Like why?
Wait, Ted Bundy was wearing
A
a
COVID.
COVID mask?
Yes. Yes, he was wearing a COVID mask in the fucking movie playing Ted Bundy.
Was he in the future? Was he?
I don't
Maybe.
well, he was like they like kind of made it seem like he was like disguising himself, to but like that's not who Ted Bundy was.
Yeah,
I
I
never
don't think
heard
Ted Bundy was like, all right, I'm gonna make sure to cough on you.
right? Like it's so fucking atrocious.
Yeah, I don't think any serial killer was like, excuse me, ma'am, can you please wash your hands before I murder you?
Right.
That would be an interesting, like, the COVID killer, the person comes in and, you know,
Um,
makes
that's
you makes you bathe and everything before they kill you, you know?
Well, Kevin Williamson did that with Six,
Oh,
so
that's true. That's true. I didn't even know that was Kevin when I first started watching it on Netflix. I think it was.
Peacock, I think.
Peacock. Peacock, yeah. So I watched it. I was like, this is actually no, I think it could have been on Tubi or something too.
I've on Peacock. I think it's a Peacock
Okay,
one.
maybe it was Peacock.
Either
But
way,
anyway,
It's
I have Peacock, so I wouldn't
I was
be.
kind of over the whole COVID horror thing. I'm just
thank you. Like host did it good, like because we were like
yeah.
going through it.
We lived through it. I don't want to think about it ever
It
again.
it's too fucking soon.
I know. I think that's the big problem is like it started coming out like a year after because that's when everybody could actually shoot stuff, And then after that, people are just like, we're trying to get away from this and stuff. We don't
I don't know why
we
people
don't
are
want
so.
to see COVID anymore. We're done,
I
you
don't think
know.
any movies about a pandemic for a long time. I mean, I know I don't.
I
Right.
did
Like
watch that Matt Damon pandemic movie, you
World
know.
War Z.
No, so
Oh, Contagion.
Contagion,
That's the
which
movie that scared the shit out of me. I think that's the scariest movie ever made, and that's why I was so freaked out.
I've
and it
never
was
watched it.
but it is like it's exactly what fucking happened.
Yeah, and it's still terrifying.
I know. Like
Scariest
I
movie made in my opinion.
I remember watching it because everybody kept recommending it to me after COVID hit.
Mhm.
And I'm like, so I watched it and I was like, what the fuck? This is like it's like they
Unfortunately, I watched
knew.
before COVID hit, and that's terrifying. But I don't want.
Somebody had some like conspiracy thing that they were telling me of like that Hollywood knows what's gonna happen, and then so they basically hire people to kind of warn the world about and I'm like, that's too much. That almost
Well,
feels like its own movie.
well, have they started using rats to make people into blue ribbons yet?
I don't know. That would be interesting though. Thank you for trying to segue back into the movie.
Yeah, we had to get there some point. um,
The rats will lead us there. Rats, rats, rats.
hey, teacher, leave those kids alone.
That was great.
Well, it's interesting that this movie came out the same year as Faculty, and both of them have that "Hey teacher, leave them kids alone." They had a remake song of Another Brick in the Wall Part 2 in the soundtrack. I think it was even in the movie for the faculty. So, but I mean, I guess that's why they probably didn't actually have the song in there,
Yeah, on with
because one of them was allowed to have it, not both or whatever. But yeah, they're
faculty budget than this one. I feel like anyway.
you think this one has less budget?
Yeah,
I'm
Okay.
gonna
maybe,
agree with you.
All right,
maybe.
I'm gonna look that up.
All right, you look that up and let us
But
know. But yeah, I would agree with you. I think so because I mean, I don't really know who was the writer of Disturbing Behavior.
I don't know.
It was Scott Rosenberg, um, who bef right before this had done Con Air.
Oh,
Oh,
He had also later wrote Gone in 60 Seconds remake. Um,
oh wow.
he's the writer of Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead, Beautiful Girls. He did an episode of the Tales from the Crypt. It was called Forever in Burgess and had,
oh, oh, that's the one with we covered that one on SPM. Forever and that I think that was the one about the I think Steve Buscemi was in that one.
yep. This is a jaded has-been photographer plots the demise of his younger, talented protege when they go on assignment in Central America.
Huh.
Yeah, and it's got Steve Buscemi and Roger Daltrey.
Yeah, it was actually a good episode. We were like, because like apparently like Steve Buscemi was supposed to be like this hot commodity, and we're all like, does anybody actually fucking find Steve Buscemi attractive?
I don't think they find him attractive, but they like his like sense of humor,
His
or
demeanor.
whatever. Like his characters are always interesting and stuff. Um, I just always remember there's that line and there's a song back in the 90's called Hey Leonardo, She Likes Me for Me.
Mhm.
And at one point it was like, not because I'm the guy I look like the guy from Fargo. I think his name is Steve. And I was like, Steve Buscemi? Like, like they're,
Oh, that's
you
a good
know,
record. Yeah.
I was like, what the hell? Like Steve Buscemi, like the guy from Fargo, his name is Steve, and I'm like, Steve Buscemi's the only one guy in there that named Steve, and I'm like, they, why does this guy think that people think he's attractive? Maybe people do. I don't know.
Well, I have the budgets, guys.
Okay.
Both were made for 15 million.
Wow.
Opening weekend for Disturbing Behavior, they made 7 million. Opening weekend for The Faculty, they made 11.6 million. The Faculty went on to gross over 40 million worldwide, and Disturbing Behavior only 17.
Oof.
So
Yeah,
I believe this would be considered a flop, right?
that
Yeah.
would if it's 17 and it was what 15 was the budget?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you only
Wow.
made $2 million. That means,
That's probably because they paid most of their cast with that. Like, because this was pretty low, like, effects, in my opinion. Like,
right.
Yeah.
From what I've understood, if the movie is double, like makes double the budget, it's a hit, or
Yeah.
whatever. It does well. It's what they want, well, I mean, nowadays people want, if you make a $15 million movie, they want you to make $100 million in the box office, which is
well,
ridiculous.
I remember they put The Faculty back into theaters. It was one of those films. I remember like they had a commercial or like a trailer on TV. They're like, it's so good, it's back in theaters. Like they took it out and then put it back in. And I think they did that with Scream 2 as well. Like I just remember that like vividly back in that day, that time frame,
You could watch it again.
Yeah, like if they put it back in theaters, like after it had already like expired. Like,
I don't even know if I saw Scream 2 in the theaters, which
it's my favorite movie theater experience ever.
really,
I came 3 in the theaters. I was 2.
I'm kind of sad if I didn't because like going to the theater and watching a movie about people going into the theater and watching a movie in the first, 5-10
It
minutes.
was amazing. Like I get chills thinking about that experience. I was 10.
You were 10? Oh
Just
my
10.
goodness. Yeah, I would. No, I'm. God, you say you feel old. Now I feel old.
Yeah.
If you were 10, then I was freaking, it was 98, right? So I was 16. God,
97 actually.
Too, so I think
90,
we're the same.
97, so I was 15. So that's
Nope.
probably why I didn't go to the theater to watch it, because
I made
nobody.
my parents take me to that shit opening night.
I remember I did watch the first Scream in a hotel room.
Yeah.
No, I watched Scream 2 in the hotel room. That's right. Oh, no, 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 no.
He goes,
So,
I don't
no, because I saw Scream 1 in VHS, on VHS, and I loved it. And it got me back into horror. And I was like, oh my God, this is so great. Because for a while, for a few years, I was hating horror. Like, I had no interest in it whatsoever. And that was about the time like they were making crap like Vampire in Brooklyn. And stuff like that.
know. Hey, don't talk shit about Wes Craven.
Hey, look, he destroyed horror and then brought it back. So good for him.
No, he did not.
Yes, because 94 was the year that almost died. 95, 90, whatever the
What do
year
you
that was.
He had a
And
lot of great hits in the 90s. Look at fucking People Under the Stairs
people
and
under this
New
shocker.
Nightmare. Shocker. We're not talking.
Shock, Shocker
Um,
was 80s, wasn't it?
I believe it was like, yeah.
I thought it was 90s. I thought it was
Shocker
90s.
is Shocker's a fucking masterpiece. So never talk about Shocker.
Matt is like, how dare you?
How dare I?
Shocker
Okay, it was
teaser.
80s, 89. So it was very close to 90, but it was
Yeah,
89.
either way, Shocker is a fucking masterpiece.
You have fucking People Under the Stairs. You also have Wes Craven's New Nightmare, and you have fucking Scream. Like those are three
Serpent in
amazing.
the Rainbow. I don't remember what year Serpent in the Rainbow, but that's another good one.
That was 80, like 8 or 87. Like it was like,
super underrated.
So no, he did not kill the fucking horror genre with fucking Vampire in Brooklyn. Calm down, Jonathan.
I like Vampire in Brooklyn.
I like it too.
you guys are ridiculous. I don't know. Like it's
Not a long time, but I remember enjoying it. I had that also recorded off Sci-Fi Channel.
man, the sci-fi just had everything, didn't it?
Do you,
I mean,
do you
I
still
watched
record off of
that-
sci-fi? Is your DVR permanently set to the CVR? Bleh, I can't even talk. The Sci-Fi
Yeah.
channel. Blah, blah.
Was back in the day before DVRs, I would set my VCR to record whatever in the middle of the night, whatever movie.
How many VCRs do you own, Maddie?
Right? I mean, 3 right now.
In your lifetime, 20 maybe.
I still have like one of my original VCRs from when I had when I was young, and it still works.
Nice. I think we
I need
got
to-
rid of all our VCRs. I don't know why.
I love my VCRs, and I just got a VCR tube TV combo, and it's fucking amazing.
All these indie movies are making them back to VHS, and I'm like, holy crap. Making me want to think maybe I should go out and get another VCR. I mean, they cost like nothing at the freaking Goodwill.
I had Disturbing Behavior on VHS.
Yeah, like I said, I think I copied it from VHS to VHS. And then I got the DVD.
Two VCRs.
Yeah, VCR to VCR.
Yeah. My grandparents used to do that too.
But called VHS to VHS?
No, they would rent movies on VHS, and then they would record, and then they would record like 3 movies on one VHS tape. Like they'd just get blank ones, so then we could just rewatch them all. They had a whole library of them. There was like over 3,000, but like 3 movies on one. And yeah, that's totally illegal. But I mean, it does. Like, and I just remember they had this whole thing where they're like, all right, this is taking up too much space finally after like so many years of, pirating shit from the video stores. So they laid out all of the VHSs on the floor of their house throughout the whole entire house. and then we all picked numbers, and you would get to go around picking which movie you wanted. To get 3 picks at a time, and like they were all like
It's like
alphabetized.
Secret Santa.
It was fucking dope. Like, yeah, there was like over 3,000 of them, and there was like 10 of us that, just took home stacks of VHS tapes. I still have a couple of them, but
That is amazing.
yeah, it was just like, I mean, like I know it's highly illegal and whatnot, but like this was like a long time ago. I remember the first movies I went for was I got Waxwork,
Good one.
Nice.
Drop Dead Fred,
Classic.
and what was the other one? What was the third one? What was the third one? It wasn't Scream, because like that was oh no, what was it? Hang on. God, I want to say it was probably like Pretty Woman or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
Pretty Woman.
It was Ghost, because Ghost is one of my favorite movies of all time. So it was Ghost. Yeah.
There you go.
Waxwork and Drop Dead Fred. That was me as a child.
If we had to describe you when you were young, those two movies would probably come to your mind, right?
Drop Dead Fred, definitely. Like that's my humor through and through.
God, what was mine when I was young? Ghostbusters and Karate Kid were probably me, if you would describe me or whatever as a kid.
So were you
'Cause
like those little kids like playing karate in your basement by yourself?
no, I took karate, when I was a kid. Because like my parents wanted me to do some kind of sport, you know? And so me and my friend decided we were going to do soccer. And instead of playing soccer, we just talked while everybody else played soccer around us. And so my parents were like, that's not going to work. You need to find you something else. And so they were like, so one day I was like, I like the Karate Kid. I want to do karate. I'm like, all right. So I did karate for like how many years? Like 10 years? Something like that. So
Maddie, what would be your movies as a kid
I mean, I
to
don't know.
describe you?
Like, how young are we talking?
Like 9.
yeah.
9? Gee. Well, I mean, The Toxic Avenger is my favorite movie. I never remember renting that from the video store, but I think it was older than 9. I fucking love The Brave Little Toaster, though.
Hmm.
Brave Little Toaster was my shit, and
Is that the movie you watch like over and over again?
I don't even own it now, but I've been really wanting to rewatch it. I really need to get a copy.
You should get it on Blu-ray. I think it's probably on, maybe it's on Blu-ray.
I don't know.
Who
I
who
think
did,
should
that
be.
wasn't Disney, right?
Yeah,
Is that a 90s movie?
it might be. Yeah, it definitely is mine.
Who
Is it
did
about a
that?
brave little toaster?
You never seen that movie?
No. Like
Um,
I'm fucking weird. I never got like fully into cartoons besides like Rugrats, like and
yeah,
like Gargoyles was my shit. But
Gargoyles.
like I would pretend to be like a statue, like when the sun comes like all right, anyways.
It was Disney. Holy shit. So it might be on Blu-ray. I don't know. It's 87 that it came
80s.
out. Yeah. Late
But
80s.
also Parent Elm Street. My parents bought me that for Easter one year because I was always watching it on TV. They bought me for Easter. I might have been like 10 or 11 or something.
Isn't it awesome that like parents like
Yeah.
I don't have any kids, but if I did, I'd do the same thing you just said, where I'd
Yeah.
buy them something that if they kept watching it over and over again,
Yeah.
they'd be like, why don't you
But,
own it? So you don't have to,
probably Sci-Fi Channel,
but
probably Sci-Fi Channel.
probably DVR'd it from the side. I actually, when you were telling us that, I started thinking the Sci-Fi Channel saved my life. And it was because I was having a really shitty day at work. I was almost like done with life. Like it was that like low of a time for me at that point. And I was like, well, Sci-Fi Channel always makes me cheer up. I wonder what's on. And it was Beast of Bray Road by The Asylum. And
Yeah.
that movie cheered me up and made me go, "Oh my God, I love life again." And so Lee Scott, thank you for the director of that and everything, The Asylum.
Yeah, shout out to Sci-Fi for playing the fucking Leprechaun marathons on St. Patty's Day.
Yeah. I don't sort of like where they've gone now, like where it's like the wrestling channel and shit like that. Like I'm like,
I don't even have cable anymore, so I don't know. But Sharknado is the greatest franchise of all time, so thank you.
that's true.
You would.
You love your Sharknado.
I do love Sharknado.
I remember I was interviewing the writer of Sharknado, Thunder, and like right after the premiere, right? Like the day after, and he was going on Good Morning America and then coming on my show, and I thought that's pretty epic. And then I'm in the grocery store buying stuff, and I hear this old lady chatting with the cashier in front of me, going, "You seen the movie Sharknado that just came out?" I'm like, "Oh my God, really?" Like people are talking about the
I'll,
movie, like it was such a surreal experience, you know. Lacy, are you a fan of the Sharknado series?
Um, mm, um, I've
oh no.
I've never seen one.
You've never seen
Oh,
any of them?
So I can't say yes and I can't say no, so Maddie can't hate me.
I don't hate you. Is that why you're not watching them? You're afraid I'll hate you.
That's why she's not gonna watch it because she's afraid she'll hate it, and then she'll be like, "Oh no, now me and Maddie can't be friends."
No, me
Yeah,
and Maddie will be friends.
I know,
Oh,
and Maddie doesn't care, you know.
no, I
Uh,
totally get why someone would or wouldn't like the franchise.
Um,
it's an acquired taste.
I mean, no, like if you look at my fucking page, like I watch like the stupidest shit all the fucking time. Like, I mean, come Christmas, I watch nothing but horrible Christmas Hallmark TV fucking movies. Like,
Oh yeah, you always do, and I even watched some of the same ones. I was like, Jesus, what are you doing?
I've been in one of those.
what? Which one?
Yeah, when I was living in LA, my roommate was best friends with the Lifetime production coordinator, for like a specific Lifetime. I don't know if you realize this or not, but Lifetime has different production companies that they just, do a bunch of different stuff for. And the guy, this guy, Chris, you know, contacts my roommate and asks us to be in a couple of those movies. One was called like a lethal love letter. It was terrible. It was my least favorite of them all, but I got to be in the same scene with Seth Green's wife, so that was pretty cool. And then I worked on another one, and I just watched that one for the first time. And then my roommate stopped doing these because they weren't paying enough for her to like take off time from just wanting to do other stuff. And I was like, I want to hang out on a set. So I did. There was a Christmas one called Welcome to the Christmas Family Reunion, I think is what it ended up being called. And it was basically it
Can you
was
see yourself in the movie?
yeah, I'm the bartender, so I have like one like glimpse of
You'll
myself
have
in
to
the
send it
scene.
to me so I can watch it this Christmas.
Okay. I don't know where I can find it, like, because it
Oh,
was
I'll fucking find it.
okay. I'll send you
Just
the link to it.
give me the name of it. I'll fucking find it.
And when
And
you find, let me know so I can
I
watch it.
I will. We'll have to come back and do a very Christmas special.
That is such
it
a terrible. I absolutely adore
it was it was I'll say this, and I won't say the name of the person, but I'll tell you guys later after. But there was a person in that crew that is a famous actor, and they were very rude on the set of that movie, because the extras were originally, we were all, because I was an extra, as a bartender or whatever, we were all supposed to be outside. And this is like in January. And even though it's January in, LA, it's still pretty cold. So we were like outside. And so they said, "Oh, come on inside. You could be in here." And we were. And we weren't that loud. We were, and I was even talking, and this person came out and like yelled at us, was like, shh, be quiet, right? And then the AD came up and the person was like, don't you, can't you hear them? Blah, blah, blah. And they're like, no, like like, we can't hear them in there. Like, well, can you tell them to stop being so loud, right? And I was like, oh my God. So then I had a scene with that person and that scared the crap out of me because I'm like, I never knew how to bartend. Like I never bartended before. So
What
I'm
year
like,
was this?
2021.
Oh, so this was recent. All right. So
Yeah.
I'm looking at a Denise Richards movie called A Christmas Reunion, so that's not it.
No, it's called Welcome to the Christmas Family Reunion.
That title, though.
To the Christmas.
Because the family is named
I
Christmas.
gotta use the bathroom, so I'm sure we'll continue talking about this.
Okay, yeah. It's Welcome to the Christmas Family Reunion. Like if you look it up on IMDb, it says like a famous pop star hires an elegant designer to plan a large family reunion. And
Oh,
I think
okay.
I'm even listed in the cast of this uh if you look it up on IMDb. I did not add myself. They apparently added me to it. Yeah.
Yeah, you can watch this on Vudu or Amazon Prime. Are you talking about a certain pageant person?
Um, I don't know what that means. Um, I'm talking about somebody who's been in a very big horror film in the you know what? She'll never hear this and
Is it Vanessa Williams?
yes, it was Vanessa Williams.
Well,
And it's just like she just was just I guess she just got mad at us for being loud. But after that, I was terrified of her. Like I had a moment where I was sitting there doing my job in this um and she was sort of, you know, talking to me or whatever, but like beforehand, and she was like, "Don't hand it to me like that. Hand it to me, right?" I'm like, "God, okay." So like, and I'm like terrified of her already from her yelling at everybody. That just made me a little nervous just being there. But the other girl that's in it, one of the other girls that's in it, was very sweet. And she actually asked me what my name was, and I thought she meant like my actual name. And she was like, "No, no, what is your character name?" I was like, "What do you want to be called?" And I was like, Mark, So I'm Mark the bartender, but they just called me caterer in the credits here.
caterer.
I don't even know if I'm in the credits
You
listed.
missed the announcement of the rude person, Maddie.
Well, I thought that was going to be announced later.
Yeah, originally I was going to, and then I was like, fuck it, whatever. She's never gonna
She's
hear it.
never gonna listen to this.
She's never gonna listen to this show. And even if, I mean, what? I'm never gonna be able to work with Vanessa Williams. Oh my God, how terrible.
Oh, Vanessa Williams.
Yeah, from Candyman.
Maddie, your face was epic. Vanessa Williams.
I was expecting, like, no offense to Vanessa Williams,
You were expecting somebody bigger?
Yeah.
Well, it's not even like the Vanessa Williams. Like, it's the other Vanessa Williams.
It's the other Vanessa Williams. But interestingly enough, if I even knew who she was, because I didn't, I would have said, I loved you in Melrose Place, which
Season
I don't know if that
left.
would have been a great thing to say or not, because she did get fired from that show.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if she would have been okay with, me going, I loved you in, Melrose Place, because then she might have been like, don't you know I was fired? And like I was like, because she was sort of let go from that because it was weird. It was like
They let
almost
go
like,
of a bunch of people after that first season, though.
yeah, they let go of the one girl who ended up
Sandy,
murdering somebody, or
the one
whatever.
from Crybaby.
Yeah, the drunk driver.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think Kristen Davis in that show.
Who?
Kristen Davis?
Yeah.
Yeah, in the later seasons, yeah.
Yeah, she was in the later season. I actually watched it right before I was moving to LA, right? Kind of perfect like thing. And then my life actually became like Melrose Place while I was living in LA, and I was not liking that, you know. Like it's fun to watch, but when you're like a part of it, you're like, ah, you know.
You should watch LA Complex. Like
That's
it's like
actually what also got me into wanting to move to LA was LA Complex. So yeah, because I'm a huge Degrassi fan. So
same, same.
and
Like
Lacey,
Jurassic
I feel like you and I are very like we're there's some things maybe I know differently than you do, but like we seem to be on the same page on
I'm
stuff.
very pop culturally aware.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I've watched a lot of shit. I have like I don't know. Like I watch a lot of
And,
shit.
and it does seem to stick in your brain, like you know all these things.
Yeah, like I mean, everybody could think I'm Googling, but I'm not. I just have this ridiculous amount of knowledge that was stored just for this moment.
Right, just for this moment.
Just for
I
this.
don't have any of that knowledge.
No.
Your knowledge is
Hey,
sharks,
you have
okay?
different knowledge. Like, all right,
Exactly.
Shark movies.
Maddie picked a fucking movie. Like we had our So Bad It's Good episode. Oh God. Like I would have never what the fuck was the name of that movie?
Guys side.
Fungicide?
Fungicide. I love
I,
fungicide.
I can't
Oh
even title right, but I love that fucking movie.
I would have never ever heard of that movie or ever watched that movie. And like, I remember just being on the show, like, aside from Rebecca, every other girl on the show was like, who picked this?
Harley still hates me, I think, for that. So
Like, it was like, oh, it was the last one that I watched too, because like they're all like, because November's listeners' choice. So like I give out the topic of whatever it is, and then listeners get to put in their picks or whatever. And then we
Maddie
debate each
picked
one.
fungicide.
I
Yes,
did.
That makes sense.
I'm pretty sure it was the first one eliminated. Because it's during the pillow fight segment. But we actually had two SOV movies, and that's not something like I was extremely like familiar with. So it did open me up to, learn more about that type of film. So it was cool,
Well,
Uh,
Indie Film Cafe, the main podcast I do, we do a lot of that stuff. So, second season we did fungicide. First season we had done Suburban Sasquatch, which my former roommate Jackie, when I first described or said the name Suburban Sasquatch, she was like, a Sasquatch in a Suburban. I was like, that would have been an interesting.
I think that was one of the movies that somebody else had named for So Bad It's Good, but like I put them all on a wheel, and we can only do so many. So
Yeah.
the will chose fungicide.
Fungicide.
Somehow that
I
one.
call it fungicide. I don't know. I'm probably saying it fucking wrong.
I'm just saying it wrong, and it's one of my favorite movies. So
I don't know. I only say it the way that Paul says it, my co-host. He calls it fungicide. I don't know if that is the way you're supposed to say it, if it's fungicide. I don't know.
Fungi. I've never called it fungi.
Yeah. So I just called it like that because
for mispronouncing shit. So don't take my lead on anything.
I did get to work with Dave Wascavage on writing his movie Adventures of the Haunted Hunted, which I think you can watch on Tubi. But I think I contributed maybe 2 jokes in there, and I don't even. They had so many people writing, and it kind of got lost in the mix of everything. And I rewatched it, and I don't even know what jokes were mine. So I'm like if they made it in, great. But I did get credit, which I thought was pretty cool. I did not expect credit for 2 jokes.
There you
But
go.
yeah, so I've got a credit for it. It's too serious of a movie that it's not nearly as fun as like Suburban Sasquatch and Fungicide because it's whatever. But yeah, Fungicide is hilarious.
I have a card game
Probably.
and a mushroom statue and a DVD.
Was that Lacey?
I don't remember now.
Sorry, my bad.
No, it's
Oh,
fine.
no. No, I talk too much. I talk a lot.
Um,
Me
it's
too.
funny that we haven't really talked about the movie that we're reviewing,
Not at
and
all.
not at all, really. We went off so bad,
I
but
got a question for you guys about disturbing behavior.
okay.
Now, all right, so we all knew Katie Holmes as like the wholesome girl next door down the creek, right? Do you think just giving her a cigarette, some black eyeliner, and a nose ring automatically made her seem like a bad girl?
What
I
what
think
about
it
you,
could have
Madeline?
got familiar with Dawson's Creek and whatnot, but no, not really.
Like I don't feel like she fit the image, right?
No, not really.
Um,
But I think that's half the fun of it now, though.
yeah, and it's weird to think like, because you see her in this, then later teaching Mrs. Tingle, and she's still like the good girl and teaching. I mean, she's even goodier and in teaching Mrs. Tingle, where here it just seemed like I don't know, like they were trying so hard with her, giving her like her own language, saying razor and stuff like that, or you know, I think she said another word like the guy was like, Chug was like, "What are you doing?" And she was like, "Chasing." I'm like, what the fuck's that mean?
No, the dialogue in this script, like I never really like because you don't really pick up on things sometimes like as you're watching it until like you're prepping for a podcast for it. Like I had to write some of these down if you don't mind.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So when Chuck's hitting on Katie Holmes outside and then he goes into the grocery store
Mm-hmm.
and just like checking out her ass because she's just like leaning up against the truck or the car or whatever it is. And like he gets all horny and that's what sends them into the rage mode, right? Because like like whatever these rats are doing is like making them sexually repressed, right? And he just starts wailing on that fucking dude, like beating the fuck out of him with the beanie on. And like it cuts back to the guy in the beanie, and the guy in the beanie goes like he's just like bleeding like downstairs. He goes, fuck, you blew all my shit up. Like, I've never heard that terminology ever. Like, I had to like rewind it and put subtitles on because like I was like,
I've never had either.
fuck, you blew all my shit up. And then he starts attacking him again, and it's amazing. Um, Nick Stahl had some really bad lines. After he
Yeah.
became Gavin, after they turned him into a blue ribbon, like
Oh God,
when
yeah. I really didn't like him after that because it just I feel like they had him from maybe 5, 10 minutes on there, and then he just kind of disappears. Like
yeah.
it really didn't become about him anymore. And I kind of hated that part, like and I understand it's set up because like everybody else, ended up falling off the cliff except for him, so he's the one later at the end that's
Yeah.
taking over or whatever. But like it's oh my goodness. It was I don't know. He was terrible. You're right.
His lines made zero fucking sense. So like they come outside, like, and all the blue ribbons are lined up outside of James Marston's house, right?
Mhm.
Outside house, and he fucking goes, "May I have this dance?" Like, because he used to like call him Stevie Boy, and like now he's like, it's like they're trying to give him like really bad 1950s dialogue or something, and it just doesn't work,
Mm.
And cut to like a minute or two later, like this makes zero sense, but he just starts going, ice, ice, baby. Like, what? Ice, ice, baby? Like, what? Like the dialogue is so bad, I'm telling you. And then like at the end, at the end, um, when they're having that epic when the big bad is fighting Cyclops on the cliff. Like and he like quotes his daughter or whatever because he knew the poem. And like he's like not even offended by what he just said. He goes, yeah, that one didn't work out. She wasn't that bright to begin with. That's your fucking daughter, dude.
Oh yeah.
I know. Well, I think to me that worked for the movie because his character was such an asshole,
Yeah.
the whole time, you know. I actually like that guy, that Bruce Greenwood, I think is his name. Um, I've seen him in a bunch of other stuff, and he's always really good, you know. So I adored him in it, but it was interesting, like just the idea that they would take like the worst sort of like the people that had potential is what they kind of said. Like Gavin Strick was a C plus student who had A plus potential,
Right.
or whatever. And he was
Why
C
did they take
plus.
the albino though?
Oh, they didn't take him because he was dumb. He was dumb as a rock, you know. Um, his character was more like the daughter, and I think about that time, Caldecott, the whatever, had realized, I guess, if you're not that smart, or whatever, you're not that
Uh-huh.
bright like his daughter, you know,
Oh,
uh,
that's a
you,
good point.
you're not going to work out. So they didn't take the people that were sort of the complete losers, they were just
Just
taking the
ones
people
that
who had
weren't
it.
utilizing their potential.
Yeah. And so, like, the first group of people were like Dickie, not Dickie, because Dickie was later. Uh, what was the main guy's name? They're all like really weird names. Because they sounded very much like comic, like Archie kind of names. Andy. So Andy, was it Andy? There's um, let's see, Chug, um, Trent, and Robbie. Those are all like friends of Gavin's back in the day, remember? Like he pointed that out, said this was them back before they, became Blue Ribbons.
Oh yeah. And then there was Dickie too.
But Dickie later, and Dickie was like the carburetor guy or whatever. And that teacher was such an asshole, by the way. That teacher that was like, he must have fell on the wrong side of the carburetor today. And I'm like, what a dick. Like, who teaches class like that? Like, is who treats their students like they're, like that or whatever. Like, I would have I would have came back as the student and beat the crap out of that teacher, you know. But I don't know. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So when before he turns into the blue room, before they turn him in.
Right. And by the way, AJ Buckley and Derek Hamilton um were both interestingly in a movie that I watched years ago um called I believe it's called Extreme Days. And they were both in it. Yeah. So Extreme Days. You know who it also stars? Rufio from
Oh,
Hook. Yeah. But it was this
yeah.
Rufio. Um yeah, it was a Christian what is it? Extreme sports movie, which sounds
Christian
really weird, but
movie.
what?
Sold. Christian extreme sports movie. I'm sold.
Did you watch? If you haven't seen it, you should. I own it
I
now. Like
probably should.
it is ridiculously fun. Like it is so it all the music is like DC talk and like audio
Oh,
adrenaline and all that stuff. And then it's like, but it's a fun little like actual movie about doing like extreme sports or whatever, and it's like I think it's even a road movie, like hits the road and stuff. So anyway, it was but both of those guys were in that. And then uh so with AJ Buckley was the guy who played Chug, and Derek Hamilton was the guy who played, I think, Trent was his name
Hmm.
in it. He didn't have much to do in this and disturbing behavior, but he was in another sports comedy, uh, sort of done with snowboarding, which was Out Cold. You guys ever seen that movie?
Oh,
I
with one of the London brothers.
Yeah, with the I think Jason London, and he's got one of my favorite lines in all of Out Cold. There's a great line where the guy's like, you know, I'm not gay, and the guy goes, look, if you, it's okay, we know you're gay. If you weren't gay, you'd be a pretty weird guy. Accepting him. I just thought it was funny. It was a funny movie. If you guys have you seen that Madeline?
No, I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's great. I love those I love sports movies, but I love extreme sports movies too, and snowboarding and all that stuff. I suck at snowboarding, but still like watching movies,
Anytime anybody says extreme, all I think about is Harold and Kumar. Extreme.
Extreme.
That's all I'm thinking about.
I get that. I haven't seen that movie in forever. I need to rewatch. I don't think I own it on Blu-ray, which is weird.
I own it on DVD.
I wasn't a fan of the sequel, but I really liked the Christmas one too.
The Christmas one's my favorite of them. I watch it every
It's
December.
so good, right?
One of my
I own that one on Blu-ray. I don't own the first one or the second.
I had it. I used to have a 3D TV, so I have like the 3D DVD of it.
Oh,
yeah, I
nice.
always watch it in 3D because I have a 3D TV that I treasure forever.
I don't have a 3D TV, so now I'm really jealous of both of you guys.
I should have taken it in the divorce.
Yeah, you should have.
Well, I just wanted the fuck out.
Yeah, you weren't going to argue over a 3D TV, were you?
No, but now I wish I would have fucking taken it.
What else?
Probably sold it or broke it, whatever. What do you like about Disturbing Behavior, Maddie?
It's a good like mystery kind of suspense movie. I think I like the plot. I like the idea. I like the mind control and things and kind of how everything unravels. It's not a perfect movie, but I think it's a decent watch.
Do you think it embodies the 90s well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it does.
Like the music for sure.
Yeah. Oh, what's that one song? Is that one there? In the insane asylum or something?
Paranoia. That one?
The flagpole sitter.
Oh, yeah, this is so 90s.
It gets so stuck in my head every time I watch this fucking movie. Like I was literally like cooking. I was making eggs for dinner. Don't ask. I was making eggs for dinner because it was and I was literally in the kitchen going paranoia, but I'm not scared. And then my puppy would go. Like it.
I have a like a stuffed animal called My Pet Monster that I've had since I was like a kid, and I did a video years ago, like 2001 or 2 or whatever, where I did a video where I was taking my pet monster out, doing stuff with him. We went to the park, we went down slide, and I had that whole song on there, like, and it was like, and at one point I was holding up my pet monster to a point where I'm not sick, but I'm not well. And I was just like, that's just perfect. Like, it kind of describes me to a T. Like, you're hanging out with a stuffed animal all day. Oh, I don't know. Oh, well, there you go. Whenever we meet, I got to bring my pet monster and Bruno's got to meet each other. That's his name, right? Bruno?
Brutus, right?
Brutus.
Brutus tagged me in a post today.
Oh boy.
Brutus wants me to watch The Believers ASAP.
And it was funny how what Dan said, no one's gonna pick The Believer. It's a great movie. It inspired me a lot.
I was like, well, actually, you're wrong, Dan.
And it's weird it was even listed on that but yeah.
Yeah, no, I love nostalgic shit like that. And like I always like the people that, choose not just the mainstream basic Nightmare Friday shit. Like I really wanted to choose Poltergeist, like I think I should have, but I just watched the other ones a lot more. So I just kind of went with the ones that like comfortability was. But yeah, no, I'm gonna definitely check out The Believers. You said it, Martin Sheen?
Yeah, and what Jimmy Smith and
I was trying to think. There's another movie. I think it was in the 2000s called like Believe or something.
God, yeah, I know the director of that. He was my teacher in film school, Robert Tennell.
Really?
What school did you go to, Maddie?
I have it on VHS or DVD.
I just remember having like a really cool VHS like cover, like lenticular cover art or something. And so,
Director Bob hates that movie, so I think I asked him to autograph it.
wait, he hates it, so you asked him to autograph it because he hates
My
it?
teacher, I mean, that's just.
Right.
Oh, he also produced Surf Nazis Must Die.
He also produced it?
Yeah, he produced Surf Nazis Must Die.
Nice. Well, I mean, somebody's got it, right?
Yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's a totally different movie. It's like about a cult and stuff.
Oh, and he directed a movie called Frankenstein and Me.
Yeah, which I actually have a copy of and haven't watched it. I'm waiting for my friend to watch it. I'll do that.
Well, that's really cool. I'm happy you got to work with you, that you got to get taught by somebody who's actually gone and made, stuff like, hear a lot of people who, if you can't do, teach, and I think for film it should be if you do, you teach. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else? Did we miss anything?
I had two more quotes if you guys don't mind.
Don't mind.
So like it's at the very end, and like Katie Holmes is obviously like somehow she's like drugged and out of the loop, but she's able to manage to save Cyclops. And anyways, when he gets after all the kids go off the bridge, which this movie's kind of sad, right? It's kind of sad when you really think about it, because all these kids, they didn't turn this way because they wanted to be that way. Like they were forced to be that way.
I'll say this real quick, and then I'll let you get to your point with that. But my my big thing with that was because for the longest time I probably did feel like, oh man, that sucks that they whatever. But there was one point where where Cyclops comes up to the rat catcher guy, janitor guy, and says, maybe they can be helped, right? And
Mhm.
he actually says there's no helping them, which I don't know if that's true or not, but like I would sort of imagine it'd be tougher to get them help,
To get
after.
them out of their, like, it just feels like it's kind of like a hypnosis thing. Like,
It's more than that though. It's like literally brainwashing. It's changing somebody's brain and
well, can't
changing
you
their
brainwash them back to be normal? Like, I mean, it's like a Clockwork Orange, like you said.
right. And
Like,
they did brainwash him back to normal, or whatever, I think. Because at the end doesn't have those ticks. So maybe they could have, but who would have done it? You know?
well, they could have figured somebody. If this fucking idiot could figure out how to do it with rats, then like I'm pretty sure somebody out there more scientifically could figure out how to reverse it. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. But like you would have to get those guys to agree to be brainwashed back and then
well, no, like these people didn't
They
agree.
didn't agree to be brainwashed in the first
Thank
place.
you, Maddie. Thank you.
And I mean, they
but
were violent under certain situations.
yeah, but
Otherwise, they would just.
they think they're fine.
Do you think that if they knew that they were gonna dive off a bridge and or dive off a cliff and die because they chased a stupid speaker, they would choose otherwise?
Well, they would choose otherwise, and then they would try to choose to go about their life the way that they were as blue ribbons. They liked who they were as people, you know?
Well, I think they liked who they were before that too, though. And like clearly,
Right.
like they're all just like it's like when that blonde bitch goes to Cyclops's house and takes her titty out and like starts smashing her head up against the mirror. Like clearly, like it's a very flawed system. So, and it's like you could see glimpses of who they were. I think it'd be pretty easy to get them out of it.
To snap them out of it. Maybe, I don't know, but like
I actually do agree, but for the sake of the movie, of course, they're just like, oh, there's whatever.
They're terrible people.
They're terrible people. Let's just kill them. It's kind of fucked up.
Well, because nobody
Um,
was there to tell Nick Stahl, Gavin, I mean, I don't know why he wasn't there at the cliff. Um,
and then he
I,
just moved on to the next city.
but I think it would be interesting to see a sequel now because he survived and so did all the three main characters. It'd be interesting to see them, trying to take him down like now.
Oh, I'd be down with the sequel.
I think it would be cool. It's like nobody wants it, but I do.
Well, the only problem is like, and this goes back to what you said earlier of it being like it only made $2 million,
Right.
compared to the 15 million they spent on it. That just it would just be like whatever company that put this out, I forgot who did it, like MGM or something. They would probably be like, yeah, it's not on our high priority right now to make a sequel,
Nobody wanted a half-baked 2 with not the actual cast.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
say no one wanted Kindergarten Cop 2 or Tooth Fairy.
Thank you. Yeah. See,
But those movies made money though, I think. Like I think they
Who's
made
asking for
yeah, straight to video, fucking Larry the Cable Guy.
I mean, I think that it would have a better shot now because it is sort of become a cult movie. I think it did really well on DVD and VHS and everything that people would probably, want like a direct to video or direct to streaming, kind of thing. But
To be red, let's go.
How dope would it be if they like did a Black Mirror episode as like the sequel to this movie?
I mean, that would be cool.
that would fit,
Like I would love that. Like, because this feels like a Black Mirror episode kind of for the 90s, right?
Yeah, no, if anything, that or like when they're trying to do the Twilight Zone, that would be sort of similar, or like X-Files, which this felt very X-Files like, like just the idea of a whole town taken over by this brainwashing. But
I think it's interesting just how the parents are the ones who just want to brainwash their kids, and it's kind of scary at the same time. Like,
yeah, that's why they had to leave the fucking town, right?
Yeah.
And clearly that guy wasn't the only one doing it. Like he's like, you can't escape it. Like just because he threw that one dude off the cliff.
Exactly.
Well, obviously you can't escape it because freaking Nick Stahl's still out there, meaning that he's probably able to brainwash other people too,
Is anybody fucking afraid of Nick Stahl though? Let's be fucking for real.
You're not going to be afraid of John Connor? What are you talking about?
He was also in this other movie and it had a bunch of, it has January Jones in it and God, what was his name? He fucked Stifler's mom. Why can I not think of his name?
Sean William Scott.
Sean William Scott.
No, that's Stifler. He fucked Stifler's mom.
Oh, he fucked.
Oh, yeah. Eddie K. Thomas.
Eddie K. Thomas, Nick Stahl, January Jones. They were both in American Wedding together. Who else was in this? There was the movie's called Taboo.
Oh, I remember that. It was like early 2000s.
It's really fucked up. Like the ending is really fucked up. There was somebody else famous in it, but I can't think of who it is at the moment. I have it on DVD. But
oh god, I gotta buy that because like
it's cheesy goodness. It's cheesy goodness. Like
Amber Benson is in it, and
yes, it's
and
so
Derek,
good.
and it's got a connection to Disturbing Behavior. Derek Hamilton, guy played Trent, and Disturbing Behavior, one of the Blue Ribbons.
Oh,
there's two people from Disturbing Behavior in this movie. That's funny. It's an interesting thing.
See, it's like 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon.
I know.
CW characters, WBCW characters. You can fucking do it. But my last two quotes. So he just defeats the Blue Ribbons and he gets back to the truck and Katie Holmes is still like in a drunken stupor, but he's completely fine. But whatever. She was the one who saved him. Makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
But she goes, "What happened?" And like he just goes, he just looks at her and he goes, "We're the only ones left." And it has like this is like the typical 90s ending, right? And then they like kiss and like they weren't like even romantic like throughout the movie. Like he kissed her once after she saved him. But and then you have Albino, uh, which is probably my favorite line of the movie. He goes, "Somebody cue up the power ballad, man." Like
Oh yeah.
He was such a UV, right? Was that his name? UV?
yes, no, and like I actually took a photo of him while I was watching the movie because I couldn't stop laughing about it. Because like when he's like peeking behind the tree, like he does absolutely nothing to help anything whatsoever. So I don't know why he's
Kind
there.
of there.
So that guy, Chad Danella, he was in he's also in Final Destination. He plays Devon Sawa's friend or whatever. He gets off the plane with Devon,
Todd.
Todd, yeah. And
You know,
then
a
uh
shower.
what?
He died in a shower. Is that?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
that's what the most effective horror movie does for me.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
wonderful. I haven't seen that movie in years.
Where the eyes go bloodshot fucking red.
I
Yeah.
never forgot that shit.
So
Saw
yeah,
for like
so
Saw 7. Or was it
What?
Saw 6? Saw 6. No,
he
Saw
was
7.
in Saw 6?
No, Saw 7. He was in 3D. Saw 3D.
Okay.
They're all the fucking same. No offense to Saul.
He was the main cop, I think, in the last one with Sean Patrick Flannery.
Nice. So
Yeah.
he was also in a so for I do a show called Quick Review Thursday, and I picked a movie for me and Paul to watch, and Paul absolutely hated it. It was called eight I think it was called 8 Days a Week. And it starred like Carrie Russell and I forgot who the other guy was. But it was made by the same guy who made 100 Girls, which is basically 8 Days a Week part two. It's a similar setup. And then another movie called 100 Women, you
Is that
know.
what David Borazon or Angel from fucking Angel?
No, I don't think he was in any of those.
And then the other one was Jonathan Tucker.
Yeah, so 100 Girls was Jonathan Tucker, I believe. And Chad Danella was in 100 Women, which was also called Girl Fever. I'm not sure which one it is on Tubi, but it's apparently they're all on Tubi. But God, Paul literally hated 8 Days a Week so bad. Like he was like, "Are you getting me back for all the shit I made you watch and everything?" I was like, "No, but yes." Yeah, like that wasn't the plan, but because I actually thought I really liked the movie and then I watched it and it was creepy. Like it was a creepy movie. 8 Days a Week. It's literally about a dude who sits on a girl's lawn until she falls in love with him.
Oh yeah, that's
Then he sees
That's
all.
not creepy at all.
No, it's not creepy. No, And her parents are okay with it apparently. Like I would have called usually nowadays you call the cops on people like that, but
yeah.
you know, um, but yeah, it was weird. I was like, man, why did I like this movie back then? I don't know, maybe I just didn't know any better. I don't know. But
Uh,
100 Girls was much better, and that was it's basically Cinderella with panties, or girls, trying to find the girl's panties instead of shoe, you know. Lacy, you said you saw that one, right?
Which one?
100 Girls
Yeah, a long time ago.
with like it's got like huge cast of like people who went on to do big shit, like Katherine Heigl and um was it was Katherine Heigl the chick from I believe the chick from Entourage and a bunch of other stuff like whatever. Anyway, bunch of people in that movie. So
I might have to rewatch that one here soon. I think I saw it was on Tubi recently.
yeah, it's on Tubi. It's okay. 100 Women I wanted to watch because I fell in love with Jennifer Morrison from like Once Upon a Time and Grind and a bunch of other movies. And she was in How I Met Your Mother, and I just fell in love with her. And then I watched that movie and it was
She was like the worst on How I Met Your Mother, though.
ah, I take that back.
Never.
She was my favorite of his girlfriends. I was absolutely in love with her. Yeah.
No.
No. Why'd you hate her?
What? Because like she's not Endgame.
So none of them were, except for like the mother, and you find that out like,
No, she wasn't even Endgame.
yeah, fucking Endgame was the person beginning of the thing, which was
I
bullshit.
I personally love the ending of How I Met Your Mother. I know that's controversial and most people
I
hate it.
never finished the series, but I've heard a bit about it. But I used to watch it, but
I absolutely adore the finale. It feels more true to life than anything else. Like,
don't spoil it too much in case I want to finish.
Okay. We won't say.
I love the ending. So
Did you watch How I Met Your Father or whatever?
I haven't seen it yet. No, with
I'm
Hilary
on season
Duff.
2, but with Hilary Duff, Casper and Wendy.
Yeah, I
No, I watched like the first 2 episodes of season 2, but I only really am watching it because of oh god, what the fuck's his name? Christopher. He played Piz in Veronica Mars, and
I know who you're talking about, but no,
he was
I
the
don't.
bad guy in A Promising Young Woman.
Oh, I still don't know his name, but I know who you mean.
Yeah, I think his name Chris.
Christopher Lowell. Lowell.
Yes, yes.
Okay, I'm looking him up right now because I don't. Other than Hilary Duff, I didn't recognize anybody else's name. So,
Oh, in the movie that I thought Angel David Borazon, what I can never pronounce.
Boreanaz.
Yeah, it was called These Girls.
David
Okay.
Boreanaz.
Boreanaz, yeah. That's what I thought.
That the 100 Girls or whatever was about, or yeah, I don't know. That I swear you guys would get a kick out of you might get a kick out of 100 Girls. It's silly. It's yeah, it's basically a guy trying to find out who's the owner of some panties that, after having sex with somebody in the elevator when there's a blackout. So, but it's so yeah, so was those their only 2 quotes?
Yeah, that was it. I think we kind of talked about disturbing behavior tonight.
I think we covered enough. Like if you did 2 hours of talking about disturbing behavior, I don't think you'd be able to do that because I mean it's
not even 2 hours long.
I know it's only an hour and 20 something minutes. And it's pretty short.
Yeah.
Actually, there is a 115-minute cut of the movie out there somewhere.
That'd be interesting.
I'm just sad that like MVD didn't go looking for it or whatever.
They didn't talk that much about their brother. It was their brother who I guess told himself or whatever.
Ethan Embry.
Yeah, Ethan Embry's character just kind of is there for like glimpses, but then he like and they describe what
should have explored that more.
Yeah, that's like I think one main thing I wish they explored more. I think
it kind of felt like Stand By Me with John Cusack's character in Stand By Me. It resembled that for me anyways. I don't know.
Maybe that's what they were going for. I never thought about that, but maybe that's what they were going for. I don't know, because it was so like the stuff was so quick with him, and didn't seem very, I don't know. It didn't seem like it had a huge impact. Like she does mention that he had a brother, that died younger or whatever, out of his teens, but they didn't really talk too much about it, which kind of like, why even have the brother if you're not really going to explore?
Just to progress his relationship with Katie Holmes, because Gavin was like a brother to her. So when he was like, I had a brother once, she goes, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
It just like that's what progressed their relationship.
It would have been better if Gavin and her were actual brother and sister,
Yeah, that would have
or
made a little
something.
more sense.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't do that, but whatever. I mean, it's a writing choice, They're like, yeah, let's take these characters, kind of put them together, see what happens. I don't know. It was a good movie. I'm glad I own it, on Blu-ray.
Glad I
Like it's
revisited. Like I said, I didn't really remember anything about it. So it was fun to read.
Yeah. So you'd probably watch it again and again. Probably not as many times as
Revisit
I
like
would.
every other year or so.
I'm,
So
I'm faculty.
Well, that's the funny thing. I was telling Lacey before the show that I actually did this movie on horror film lovers
Oh,
last year. Exactly last year, July 4th.
oh
This
wow.
will come
Yeah,
out in July something or whatever, and so it's like basically a year later I did it again. And I mean, originally I was like, oh, I've already did this, so should I do this? And I was like, fuck yeah. I mean, it's a different podcast. We're gonna be talking about different stuff, and yep,
yeah,
we did
we did a lot of different stuff.
a lot of different stuff that had nothing to do with the movie. But
hey, fuck, you blew my shit up. Like
Sorry,
so we did talk about the movie enough,
I'm gonna say that all the time now.
we
Are
all
you?
have to get back. This is like a '90s horror podcast, Pat.
Yes, we have to like I'm like we're gonna be saying it on post to each other now.
What was the other? What was some of the other stuff like Razor and like I said, they're chasing or whatever. I was like, what the fuck? He was like, uh, the guy, the Chug was like, what are you guys doing? And he's like, I'm chasing, but no one's buying. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Like, because I looked that up on the subtitles, and I was
Yeah,
like, what the hell is like some of the word dialogue? I felt like they were trying to make some slang, you know? And
fuck, my shit up.
what?
Oh, I guess there was like one more aspect. Like, okay, so these kids were supposed to be like fucking smart, right? Like after they like, but clearly like not all of them are, because like that dude should know that Katie Holmes would never ever fucking go for him, period. And like he
Yeah.
gets so mad about it, he goes, "Why not?" Like I just remember that being in the trailer.
Oh yeah.
Like, and it's so extra, and they're like in a boiler room. It's like what?
I mean, it just seems like they just put on jackets. They weren't even any smarter.
Yeah,
And like comb their hair differently.
Were they really that much smarter? I don't know. They just seem like a special club.
no, but he just put in the letter jackets, and they're like, "Oh, you're a blue ribbon," which I don't know. I guess once again that goes back to the 50s kind of thing, like the aspect of it is like they sing "Be the Ball," and if you
Except
watch all
for
the way to the end
children.
of the movie, they actually have all like the quotes from all the stuff. So it's like "Be the Ball," or
Uh-huh.
and it has the music, so it kind of feels like they're trying to like it hypnotize
Subliminal
you or
message
whatever,
you.
brainwash you at the end of the movie. And
I do
so, and
want
then the
to.
girl says, that little girl says, the thing about the flowers and whatever. And then I forgot how it ends. It ends with the one girl, treat yourself. That's how it ends. And which was so weird. Like,
After the credits?
yeah, that's after, like, that's during the credits. Like at the end when it's like end of the credits after the music stuff they say all the music and stuff. It
Music.
does that. It's pretty cool. If you just rewatch it, check that out because I
Yeah,
think
I don't
it'll
think I ever watched it all the way through then.
yeah, I do that all the time now because I watch Marvel, and it's
Yeah.
just it gets me going, like thinking, oh, is there maybe there's something extra, you never know. And so I didn't want to, I was like, oh, maybe nobody else will check that out. So, and I totally forgot to mention it earlier, but I did it. I mentioned it. Um, but it's kind of cool. Like, I think that worked really well.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Talk disturbing behavior.
what?
We talked about disturbing behavior.
We did.
A little bit.
Isn't that crazy? We
Gosh,
talked
darn.
about the movie we are supposed to review, but we also talked about a lot of other shit.
You're welcome, Dawson's Creek fans.
I know. Like, people are like, why don't you start Dawson's Creek podcast? Jeez.
I plan on it someday.
Really?
Yeah, for real.
Okay.
You should try to get like one of the stars from Dawson's Creek to come on your
Well,
come on a show and do a rewatch.
I'm actually friends with Craig Edwards, who worked on the first 4 seasons.
Yeah, so same here. Yeah.
Yeah, he's super cool. I love Craig. He does he's guested on a few times on my show, and he always gives me tidbits of some of the behind the scenes. And we've asked him if he would ever do a Dawson's Creek podcast with us, and he said he would. So
That sounds awesome. That he would be perfect because he was, I don't know how many seasons he was there for, if he was there for all
1 through 4.
1 through 4. Okay. That kind of makes sense. But yeah, it was he always like he'll pop up on my posts and I'll like post something about like
Movie and
Katie Holmes or something, and then he'll post like a picture of him and Katie together, you know, or whatever.
today. He did that today.
He did that today, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what he'll do, and then he'll be like me and
Michelle Williams.
Michelle Williams say hi, and I'll be like, all right, thanks, Craig.
He loves it. He loves it so fucking much.
You know what? I love it. I love it. Like, I didn't even know for the longest time that he had that connection, you know, until he started saying, and I was like, that is freaking cool, Craig. That's awesome. Like, I'm kind of jealous. You know, I would have loved to work on that show, you know, even on crew.
He worked on Empire Records.
He did. That's right. So I talked about Empire Records, and he had mentioned like I guess he got to hang out, hang out with Liv Tyler. God damn, jealous.
He was in the movie too.
That's right. He was like the crazy fan of Rex Manning.
Yep.
That's right. Oh man.
I made him once those Barbie memes started coming out. This Ken is blah, and I like got a picture because I was watching Empire Records on Rex Manning Day, and I took a picture of him and put it in the Barbie meme generator, and I said, "This Ken is Rex Manning's biggest fan." He made it his profile picture.
That's so awesome.
That he, yeah, that's sweet. That's sweet of you to do that, Lacy. That's funny. I love it. Like I'm always. It's so weird. If you had told me when I was like 15 or younger that I would be like meeting people who like knew or worked on these movies
growing up, yeah,
I would have told you, nah, what are you talking about? That's impossible, you know? Like, but I will tell you, I was watching Empire Records when I was a kid, and my sister and her best friend at the time, who unfortunately is no longer with us, came up, and the best friend looked over and goes, I dated that guy, and she was talking about one of the guys from Guar. And because Guar lives, you know, the people who do Guar live in Virginia where I live, you know, and stuff. And I was like, what? Really? Like, I thought she was joking, you know, because it was funny that it was a bunch of monsters, you know. But no, I found out later, I found out that I used to hang out with Ballsack, you know, from Guar as a kid. Did not know that.
Funny as hell.
But anyway, I guess is there any other last words on this movie?
No, I think we covered it there at the end with your end credits.
We had to.
Score. I think the score of the movie.
You know, the soundtrack.
Yeah, the score was great. Like the
trying to say, like, I would buy, you know, a record, whatever. You know, I really enjoyed the score, and that was one of the first things I noticed.
You might be able to find one at Goodwill.
Probably.
But, you know, yeah, they have soundtracks, random soundtracks all the time at Goodwill.
Really good.
What?
They're probably on YouTube.
Probably.
You could probably download all the songs, you know. Which, you know, I prefer myself to have the physical copy, but then I end up putting it on my thumb drive anyway. So
Yeah,
Like,
same.
why? Like, I guess it doesn't really matter.
Spotify, whatever. So
Well,
I
so next, so interestingly enough, Maddie, I haven't talked to you about this, but I think what we're gonna end up doing is having the next two episodes be in September and October. That way, it'll be more Halloweeny and everything and stuff, and it'll be the last two episodes of the season. So, and then we're gonna have to have one more season because we have to have the surgeon,
yes.
in there. So, and then we're done for the season. So, thank you, Lacy, for coming on. We had a blast chatting with you. Um,
Yeah.
you seem to know a lot about 90s stuff, so we'll have to have you come back.
Yeah, for sure. Just maybe we won't cover like a WB era 90s, maybe earlier 90s.
Are you saying you don't want to get stuck talking about the
Oh,
WB stuff again?
I'll go off all day, like as you can tell. So sorry, I kind of took over. Like, hey, this person was here,
Oh,
and this person fucked this person, and
Wait, did I miss that part? What?
no, I'm being silly.
I was just gonna say, geez, I don't remember you have that stuff, that information.
Well, I mean, I could have went into some of that, but I just didn't.
Yeah, it's probably for the best.
For the best, yeah.
You know what's funny? I'll tell you this real quick before we'll end. When I was in summer school, at the at a what is it, a military school. I guess my parents wanted me to make sure I really studied or whatever. I don't know, whatever. But that was the year that Britney Spears like came on the map, and started doing stuff, and I was like, I want to put her in a movie someday. And did not think she would actually blow up to be as big as she was. And then when she started becoming as big, I was like, damn it, there's no way I'm ever gonna be able to like put her in a movie. And now now I don't think I want to put her in anything right now. I'm sorry,
Could probably get like Robin.
Um, who?
Robin, she was a 90s singer that like doesn't do anything anymore.
I don't even
She
know.
didn't blow up. Look her up, you'll know who I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
Robin, or anybody from the S Club 7, perhaps.
Right. I don't, yeah, S Club 7. Oh, God, I forgot about them.
I forgot about that.
What?
I forgot about them too.
Yeah.
You're welcome. That's what I'm here for.
Mandy Moore and Christina Aguilera and Jessica Simpson, maybe, are like the people who are still doing shit, Jessica Simpson as much. I haven't really heard from her, but I know Christina Aguilera is still out there, doing her thing. And now Mandy is a big time actress, so,
Yeah.
so there you go. But Brittany has sort of kind of fallen on a little bit of hard times right now, but so if she could act, I'd put her in something now. Like, she's in charge, so might as
Definitely
well.
love the 90s.
What?
So we definitely love the 90s.
We definitely do. We love the 90s here. This is 90s horror podcast, thanks to Maddie for creating this in a way.
Thanks for having me, guys. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure.
And I gotta come on again, and I gotta come on your slumber party mess.
Yeah,
Yes.
that'd be great to hear you guys on that show because for the longest time I thought you guys already did do stuff.
Us with Carly and Rebecca, like fuck, we'll blow shit up.
Blow your shit up?
Yeah. We should have had you on the sequels that jumped the shark episode. We just will drop soon.
Anything that says shark, you need to have Maddie on.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll do a shot on video or something. Who knows? I don't know if the other girls would be able to sit through some of them.
Well, Carly was in a shot on video movie, 2 shot on video movie.
I thought it would be fun to do Rebecca's filmography and Carly's filmography in our Pillow Fights debate and pick the
I might be biased for some of it though.
Well, you sort of worked with Carly, a good amount. Like you haven't, have you worked with Rebecca yet?
No, unfortunately, I'd like.
Though I will say, like, because I got to meet Rebecca and Jessa at was it um God damn it Scarefest up in Lexington, Kentucky earlier last year, and I like those two together, just a lot of energy. Like, there's just so much energy, there's so much bouncing and doing stuff, and I mean it's great. But I adored, I love those guys to death, and um I'm glad that I saw Carly worked on Raccoon, so good for her doing that. That she's not just working for Maddie, but she's working, Brad Twigg and other people, she's getting her stuff out there. So
I love it.
Lacy, do you do any acting?
I was in I did some extra work. I was in a movie called Janie Jones. And I was the lead interviewer on a documentary that filmed a couple years ago, called The Dark Side of Society. It's about the true story behind the film Society. So I got paid to fly out and interview, and unfortunately they put me in the film, and I don't like the way that I look, so I don't know how I would have promoted it. But no, it's a really good documentary. It's really fucking fascinating because that movie is wild as fuck. Have you guys seen Society?
Is that the Brian Usna movie?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's it's about the true story behind that, and it's just really fucked up shit, and it was really cool to be a part of. I was so flattered that they asked me to do that, and it was just really cool. I got to go out to New Mexico, and it was a lot of fun.
It was interesting. So this hasn't happened yet, and I don't know when it will, but we did ticks on the show, and with me and Maddie, and I got to chat with one of the girls from ticks, who's also the dentist and stuff, and she wants to come on my radio show and podcast and talk with another girl from ticks, one of her friends from there. So I'm like, well, she was like, she asked, "Would do I want the other girl too?" And I was like, yeah, like double the ticks. That's awesome,
Double the chicks.
Double the chicks, yeah, from ticks, And I loved it. So I fell in love with that movie. I need to own it on Blu-ray at some point. It's got a nice one from Vinegar Syndrome, but they're usually like $40 or something ridiculous online. So, but it's it'll be fun if that happens, and I'll try to get Maddie on that show. So
I'll be there.
I don't even need to really I just need to tell her when we're doing it, and then Maddie will jump on in a second. So anyway, thank you guys so much. This has been awesome. This is a lot longer than we normally do it. By the way.
Sorry, I talk a lot.
No, it's not your fault. We just it's usually just me and Maddie, so we just do like an hour. So it's like we don't usually have guests. But I was like, let's get Lacy on,
Yeah.
And
anytime.
Yeah, anytime. You're welcome back.
Oh,
we'll pick another 90s one, probably one that I don't know, one that's not The Faculty or something like that. I think I've already done that. So
I'm sure I could think of something. Maybe something. I'll try to. I'll look. What about like Cherry Falls? Is that? Are we?
I did that for Horror Film Lovers, but I didn't do it for this yet. So I own it and I love it, so I wouldn't mind.
I'll see if I can come up with something underground that I love. Popcorn would be a good one.
Popcorn's
early 90s. That works.
That's fun. But I bet I could find an even more underground one. So I'll sit and think about it, and then I'll let you know when I can blow that shit up.
Let's do that.
Thank you guys so much.
That's gonna be that. You're gonna just say that in your normal day life now.
I
I feel
fucking
like.
am.
See, they got you.
It got me. It was subliminal.
They got you where they
Like
want you
that.
from the movie. That was one of the
Yeah,
song.
no, I got it. They
Oh,
got
you
me.
got it. I was yeah, I wasn't sure, Maddie.
But it makes sense now. It makes sense now.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, actually, yeah, you're right because I didn't actually ever put two and two together of like that line, you know. But yeah, they
No,
definitely.
I wish I had got on camera now and like then just like as we fade out, I'm tying a blue ribbon in my hair.
Are you for real?
That would be
No,
so.
That
no.
would be awesome, though.
That would be.
It would have been, yeah. Maybe next time you see me, I'll have a blue ribbon in my
Oh
hair.
God, we'd be worried about you.
You
You're gonna
probably
you're gonna
see anyway.
you're gonna start talking different and be like, you know,
I'll be like
uh,
ice, baby.
when people say treat yourself, you go indeed. Like,
Go forward. Isn't that what he writes on the chalkboard at the end? Go
go
forward.
forward, yeah. But oh my God,
Oh, maybe they put. I always want like maybe go forward meant to go forward to the end of the end of the credits. Maybe
huh?
that's
I remember one time.
Maybe, but I don't know. I think
so. Maybe they got you, Jonathan,
maybe
because I never went to the end of the credits.
because you didn't do that. So subliminally, you did not. Maybe there was a lot more subliminal messages in this movie.
We're gonna have to find out.
It,
I know,
it
maybe just our behaviors more deeper than we gave it credit for.
so deep we didn't even we didn't fall in, you know, to the whole
No, and
um
apparently it didn't do deep enough to make people go see it at the theater either. So
I don't even remember if I saw it in the theater. I do remember seeing Teaching Mrs. Tingle in the theater. I remember seeing Can't Hardly Wait in the theater. I don't remember seeing this in the theater. I think I waited till to VHS to watch it, you know. So I don't know. Sadly, I wish I had. I wish I gave money to this movie, you know. It's one of those things where I'm kind of sad now.
yeah.
Especially knowing that it didn't do very well. It should have. But it's more of a cult movie. It's more of
Yeah.
a, you know,
Yeah.
and that's why if you're right, if they ever do make a sequel, it should be direct to video, direct to streaming. You shouldn't go to the theaters. Unless it's made for like 3 million or something, you know. But I don't know, with that cast, they'd have to just get one of the people back. They'll get Nick Stahl back because what else is he doing?
Not much.
He just did a movie with Devin Sawa like a couple years ago, and it was really good. I can't think of the name of it, but it was really good. It was really fucked up.
Really?
Hang on, it was like, hang on. I'm sure it's like one of the first things on his filmography. Nick Stahl. Sorry, and then we'll get out of here.
Yeah, he did a movie called Knights of the Zodiac, Night
That one.
Blooms.
It
Yeah.
was. Oh, he just last year. I didn't see it till last year, but it's on Shutter. What Josiah saw, fucking great. Watch that.
Well, I've been meaning to watch that.
It's so good, dude. Like so fucking good.
But good things. I knew that was a movie I had to be in the right mindset to watch.
Yeah, it's fucked. Like it's
Actually be awake, which I
it's
never.
it's slow but stick with it. Like it's a good payoff at the end.
I like slow burns. I'm gonna have to watch that.
Yeah, and then the movie that I was talking about though was Hunter x Hunter.
Hunter x Hunter. Okay.
Yeah, it's got Devin Sawa. Really good. It's on Hulu, I guess. So
I feel like I watched that, but I can't remember, or I wanted to
oh,
watch it. I forgot about it.
you would remember the ending for sure.
Tell me anything because I'm gonna look it up after that.
Yeah, I will. Let me know if you watch any of the shit that I mentioned.
It sounds so familiar. I wonder if I
It
wanted
came
to.
out like during the pandemic, like, but it's not a pandemic horror movie. Like, the synopsis is Joseph and his family live in the remote wilderness as fur trappers, but their tranquility is threatened when they think they're being hunted by the return of a rogue wolf, and Joseph leaves them behind to track it. And it just gets real fucked up. It's fan fucking tastic.
Okay, so I was wondering why, but I got that what Josiah saw or whatever
Mhm.
mixed up with that last thing Mary saw, which was like this
Isabella Furman and Rory.
Rory Culkin movie.
Yeah.
So I had heard of that movie because Rory Culkin did an interview with this chick I watch on YouTube, and who I'm not gonna lie, but some of the girls like the horror people on YouTube, they are so young, you know, and I just don't get anything they talk about. So I feel so out of like touch, and everything. But she did such a great interview with Rory, and Rory just seems like a really nice guy.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, he
all
was
the
just in an
Culkins
episode
seem
of Black
nice.
Mirror too.
What?
He was just in an episode of Black Mirror too.
Yeah, I saw that on his IMDb. That's great. I have not watched the new season, so I have to check that out. That just came out, right? Like the sixth season.
Yeah, it's good. I like Beyond the Sea the best. But all right, guys, I don't want to keep you any longer because I have that problem
Well,
of.
speaking of Josh Hartnett, he was in that. So, all right. Anyway, uh,
But thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a
It
wonderful
was
week.
fun chatting.
everybody have a
Yes.
good one. Enjoy yourselves, and we'll see you in September. Till then, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.